rivers, out in the seas, masters of the deep, dolphin mysteries. Bottlenose freaks, short beaks in the night, humpback shadows, pygmies out of sight. All the dolphins, you know it's true, rolling deep in the ocean blue. Stripes and spots, they rule the tide. Water dogs of the deep, they don't hide. In the river's grip, seas endless bounty, ruling the waves, dolphin Illuminati. Praised by Romans, gods to the Greeks, underwater rulers, the power peaks. In ocean depths, that counts to 6. Dolphins in the dark, never calling it quits. Striped and spotted in the sea's domain. Aquatic dogs in their own insane lane. Through rivers they ride, seas they roam. In the ocean depths, they make their home.
Well, I talk about insanity, which is what's going on in your mind, and outside, which is where you communicate with those outside. As you know, if you give too much of your insanity, they'll lock you up. Well, I tried giving as much as I could. They locked me up. They published it, paid me.
Illuminati, deep, deep, deep in the deep they creep. It's that dolphin. Illuminati, in the rivers and the seas they be a constant mystery. It's that dolphin. Illuminati, it's that dolphin. Illuminati, deep, deep, deep in the deep they creep. It's that dolphin. Illuminati, in the rivers and the seas they be a constant mystery. It's that dolphin. Illuminati, it's that dolphin. Illuminati.
Try to shoot the drummer, but I missed and shot him in the ear. Oh no, oh. I try to shoot the drummer, but I missed and shot him in the ear. Oh no, oh. Yeah, all around in my hometown, they're trying to track me down. Yeah. They said they couldn't stand on the slope safely. I just climbed right up. Nobody stopped me. Nobody chased me. Nobody cared that I carried a weapon. Aim for the head, but he turned at the last second. Oh, now, down, oh. I tried to shoot the donor, but I missed and shot him in the air. Oh no, oh.
I got that big D energy. Ain't nobody wanna step to me. If you wanna bring that drama, I'll whoop that ass like Michael Obama. Yeah, I got that big D energy. Ain't nobody wanna step to me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I'll whoop that ass like Michael Obama.
Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
Transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
I whip that thing out like Michael Obama.
We already had it with
I got that
Obama,
big
so
energy.
let's just calm down.
Nobody wanna step to me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I whip that ass like Michael Obama. I'm a girl, 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 I'm a whip them thing out like Michael Obama. I got that big, big energy. Ain't nobody wanna step back me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I whip that ass like Michael Obama.
Britney Spears? Can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, Jamaicans, it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys. The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, Jamaicans, it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys.
Big up yourselves. Brap, 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 brap. Happy Friday, all you good guys out there. Everybody who decides to join us early enough, make sure you hit the like and subscribe, and we will probably try and remember to remind you a few more times. To anyone who finds us on Rumble or X, you are hardcore. But to hang out with the coolest chat in the room, you can go to projectchaney.com, and then you can hang out with the cool cats over there.
Mm-hmm.
Even though sometimes they talk about stupid things like right now, but we'll move on from that. JK. I love we have a rad chat. How are you, good guys? How is your fucking week going?
Great.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Did you
Merry
guys get
Christmas.
anything fun?
I got pants.
Oh yeah.
I got makeup.
You never wear pants.
I know, that's why, but yeah, I need pants because I'm going on an Alaskan cruise early next year, and I figure I can't wear
Ooh.
shorts.
Nice.
That's
I
exciting.
mean, you can Wim Hof it and wear shorts. Like
I could attempt it, but I want to be comfortable.
Smart.
And
So
warm.
You got pants?
Warm.
Did you try them
Warm.
on? Did you have to? Did you get them from your girl or your mom?
My girl, like, she actually asked me what I wanted, and I wanted pants, so we went shopping, and I got pants.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I slept most of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. It was
I
great.
lounged most of Christmas. I didn't have to do too much.
You
I
know,
wanted to go
Christmas
hang
with
out with
the
my
fam.
family a little, but I'm under the weather, and my oldest niece has a beautiful new baby, and I don't want to go and get. They have a big family. Like my sister has 5 daughters, and then all their people. I didn't want to go and put that in there.
Yeah, smart.
Even if you don't believe in terrain theory, and that's a whole nother debate for another. But I didn't want to be the culprit. I don't want to get blamed. Okay, there's a baby around.
Absolutely. And we just did gifts, and then all my family went to my former in-laws, and so I sat at home and I cried, and not because I was like sad about them leaving. It was like my last Christmas in my house because my house is sold, papers are done, like it's like just waiting till it closes. And
beautiful.
Yeah, but I signed my lease, so I'm excited too.
2025 is going to be a great year.
You feeling it? That's your prediction so far?
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh my God, doom and gloom. I'm like, nah, it's going to be a great year. I don't know what you're talking about. What you talking about, Willis?
My gosh, could we have more doom? What are they going to give us, a black plague? Like what could they possibly do? Were they going to alien invade us?
That's dangerous to start playing that game of like, how bad could it get?
Yeah, I know.
But
How good can it get? Let's play that game.
I'm really starting to believe that they're, slowly projecting or beginning the Project Bluebeam alien invasion, but it's their own technology. It's the government. They've had it for years, Germans and alien technology and all of that, Antarctica. I mean, everything that you see, it's government. Don't buy into it. Don't. They got to create a story. They have to loose you. That's the way they control you. That's it. That's what I think. So don't be gloom and doom. Nobody's going to come from outer space. Trust me. Trust.
Would it even be that bad if
I know.
aliens
I was like, I'm
came?
kind of excited if they
I'm
do.
I'm not sure if the default would be that like it would always be for a bad reason. But I also wouldn't be
It'd
that
be
lady
cool.
on the top of the building with like the welcome, like your home or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do it.
I don't care. Like I used to be a person, I'm not gonna do any of the things. But now if it was like, okay, conspiracy theorist, we have a rocket going to Mars, I'd be like, all right, get me on board.
Yep.
Let's do this. It doesn't matter how pirate ship going to Antarctica. Let's go. Like, I don't care. Pirate ship, we don't know where we're going yet. I'm on board. Like, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm like at my adult life, like, can we have some unknown adventure? Is there any unknown adventure? And that's
Just say
part of the
yes.
problem.
There is, but not for us. We're not allowed to do any of that stuff. It's only for the elite. It's not
And
for
the
us.
elite of the elite. I still think that Titan Explorer, the little deep sea thing that imploded with the PlayStation controller, whatever it was, I think that was even a message of stay away. This isn't your area. Like even if you think you're rich, you're not rich enough to not implode in one of these little capsules. So keep your distance. And I feel like the question is, what else can we explore? Is there exploration left? I think it's the deep sea.
Well, isn't it like Ghislaine Maxwell's submarine it looks like something off like a futuristic movie. It looks like a spacecraft compared to that tin can they try to convince us the rich go down in. And so I just think they tried to partially convince us that the rich even go down in those submarines so that we don't look into how many rich people actually own
Right.
submarines like Ghislaine's just the same way as they have private jets. I think this is how they travel frequently. And so that whole psyop was just to give us the illusion that that's how rich people would go down in a sub.
Well, I think that was new money rich too. That wasn't the old money rich submarine.
That
Also,
they
Dr.
don't know
Von
yet.
Brown. You guys heard of Dr. Von Brown, right?
Werner von Braun?
Sounds-
Von Brown. I
Oh,
believe
Werner
so.
von Braun. Yeah.
Yeah. So he worked with a few associates, and when he died or before he died, he said, listen, whatever you do, whatever comes out in the news and they say aliens, it is not real. And he repeated it over and over and over and over. I have a clip. I have to post it because it's so fascinating. And she's interviewing this guy talking about Von Braun. That's going to be the final, like, boom, false flag. And it will use weapons, I guess, but that's not really on humanity, but like what you'll see in the skies, like the government attacking and using weapons to get these fucking drones or plasmoids or whatever the fuck they are. But they are gonna fake an alien invasion. That's what he kept predicting, and that's what he kept saying over and over again. I've seen it. I've seen the aircrafts. I've seen their whole project, and he was cancer all of a sudden and died. Yeah.
I
Just saying.
you should get nasacomic.com. Thomas doesn't even know where to begin.
Space is faking gay.
She's like,
Werner
have
von
you guys
Braun-
heard of this Von Braun character
Von
before? We're
Well,
like,
he
Dr.
comes
Von
up
Braun.
in so many contexts. He'll come up in Project Paperclip. He comes up
post a
in
video now.
Disney. He comes up in Flat Earth because of the quote on his tombstone says something about the firmament. There's also a really interesting song. Some guy named Tom, I can't remember his last name, and the premise of the song is that Werner von Braun cares about putting rockets up in the sky. He doesn't really care where they come down, and that's the whole premise of it.
I'm gonna post a video for y'all to see, whoever wants to see it. Not now, whenever you guys want. Not here, but in the chat. Whoever wants to see it. Because
half our audience leaves.
Nah,
Thanks,
nah, stay
Layla.
here. Use your phones, God damn it. Don't fucking leave. Fuck it, I'm not gonna put. No, I'm gonna post it, but don't leave.
Oh my goodness. You could just post it and then later anyone who follows you.
Yeah. Layla, shut the fuck
Another
up.
fun fact too, if you there's some photos of von Braun, but one of them I believe it has 2 different medals he was awarded by the Nazi Party. So he was actually, I think, honorary SS at some point, and then he also had their version of like a Medal of Freedom, or like he had like high honors, high ranking from the Nazis too. So he wasn't just some random scientist that was working in like the bottom of some basement somewhere.
Yeah, he knew a lot about a lot.
And he wrote that book that names Elon as the president of Mars, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
People say that he could have had an affair with Mae Musk and that what also
That's new to me.
Oh, yeah, people say that he could have had an affair with Mae Musk because she was like a model back whenever, and that Elon could be his son.
Love child.
Yeah, like Cucky, like the same as like the Castro Trudeau thing.
I'm interested. That actually sounds wild.
Yeah, and I thought that also I think the Disney connections to Werner von Braun to me that is the biggest red flag at everything else that any flat earth thing, any of the science, any of the we can't find the telemetry data from the rocket missions from 1970, none of it is a bigger red flag to me than at the same time that you got space, you got Disney cartoons, and that is what the space we still know is nothing more than the Disney cartoon that was originally created. That's the biggest red flag to me about space. It's probably the reason I don't really believe in it is even the Pluto of it all, how we've always had this like, oh, is Pluto real? Is it not real? Is it real? Is it not real? And then Pluto the dog. And why is Pluto a dog? What's Goofy? Like that whole thing, it's still like it's even that is kind of a fuckery. And then I heard one that was like, oh, well, Goofy's a cow. And I'm like, stop yourself. I've never heard this conspiracy before. Then I looked into it, and apparently Goofy's girlfriend's a cow. So why wouldn't he be a cow? I'm like, my mind's blowing right now.
Well, von Braun is a really good example too of how they shaped the immediate generation, right? Like during the end of World War II, as the Nazis are still going to Nuremberg and everything, during that exact same generation, kids watching the TV, the first ones to arguably grow up with the TV in the house even, and they're seeing this whitewashed version of von Braun as this sidekick. He hosted, he was almost like their Bill Nye, you know, he was kind of like the science guy that you would sit your kid down and learn about science and rockets and space from him, and he became like an endearing figure to the exact generation that's growing up as the children of these people that kind of saw von Braun as the bad guy. It's a weird, very deep psyop that also I don't feel like it would be able to happen the same way now, because there would be all sorts of online brigades and there would be sort of like social media to like cancel the dude, but that didn't exist. Whoever found themselves on TV, especially endorsed by Walt Disney, they get to become a household name. So it's a weird sort of like connection there for a lot of different rabbit hole reasons.
And then it almost pushes him into the zeitgeist in this famous, like Neil Big Ass Tyson way that it's like whatever he says, we trust. And so because of him, then it's like all this rocket stuff, which is probably just weapons. It's like, how are we gonna they'll not just let us grow big,
want to
huge
crack
missiles.
the highest ceiling, like Hillary said. Isn't that the whole
glass
purpose?
ceiling, I always just heard about like women in the workplace.
Is that it?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like the stretch of things that have nothing to do with other things. Like she was legitimately talking about like glass ceilings. And it's like maybe if you never heard that before, you could attach it to firmament. But if you've been in the workplace or a woman like who's been educated by the system, it's like
put a crack in the highest glass ceiling. What? But they didn't penetrate it all the way. They put a crack in it. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they're trying to like puncture it.
Cause another great flood.
I'd like
Maybe.
to send Hillary Clinton on the other side of the firmament.
So would I. First class.
I don't think she's around anymore.
I won't
I
ask
just dead.
questions.
Hitlery.
And Chelsea Hubble, right? She's no longer in line. It seems, if anything, the Biden dynasty's got stronger legs to it than the Clinton dynasty.
The what dynasty?
Clinton, there's Clinton, there's Biden, and now there's Trump. Those are the dynasties. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened to the Bush dynasty.
I was gonna
I'm
say
not sure if we're
Bush.
gonna see that. They'll probably pop up again.
Yeah, but
Maybe
well, Jenna
McCain,
Bush, she
right?
like all of the Bushes, because I feel like they do this thing where they're like political for this period of time until their name gets a little dirty, and then they go Hollywood for a period of time, and then they come back and they're political, and then they go Hollywood. And so the Bushes are in their phase of Jenna and being like, she'll become like the new Kathy Lee or the new Hoda. She's in that phase of working that morning talk show circuit. So that's an interesting political stronghold if you can have morning news and everybody loves you.
How long until we have a Real Housewives of like presidents? You know what I
I
mean?
think there
Like,
is one of DC.
not just DC though. I mean like actual presidents within our lifetimes.
Or like congresswomen or like Congress's first wives.
Or Real House husbands. We don't want to exclude
The
anyone.
dual citizenship of it all, you know?
Shout out Michael.
Shout
Oh,
out
First
Michael.
Housewives.
If you know what you know.
Do you guys ever play with conspiracies in your head in a way like even that big dick energy when Big Mike's dancing on stage with Ellen? I believe for real that her mic pack fell and that's what's hitting the front of her pants. Do you guys ever like just, I don't know. There's other stuff like, damn, that's a big bitch. Like that's just a big woman in general, like next to anybody else. But that I don't think is her dick hitting her pants.
I think it's a dangerous mentality to put yourself into. It's that same concept where you learn a new word and all of a sudden you start hearing that word all over the place, right? But I've seen so many rabbit holes on Twitter when people are just obsessed with whoever having a dick. If it starts with Michelle Obama, but then it turns into the entire cast of Friends, you just
Yeah.
kind of like
It's not
invert
our
all
fault,
the
though.
genders and but it's a weird thing. Like you're just
Who said it?
in line at the bank and you're looking at the person in front of you and like, I bet she's got a dick.
What was that
Dude,
lady's name?
I get it all the time. Like you hear it in the chat, the trolls. And by the way, chat, I love you guys that you never entertain them when they say anything. You just ignore them. Thank you for that.
Talking about Abby's big schlong.
Yeah.
Y'all.
They obviously don't listen to us and like our stance on like the whole transgender movement, but whatever.
That's what makes it so insidious.
They're like, Abby's
I
a
know.
self-hating trans.
What trans isn't, probably, if we're being honest.
Well, I don't think he's a self-hating trans, but he calls it for what it is. The guy, leave Britney alone. That tranny, he's a Trump supporter, calls it out. I'm still a man, but like
he's still around. I mean,
Yeah.
statistically, I'm surprised he's
even,
still
like,
alive.
he
Jeffree
transitioned.
Star, but Jeffree Star was like, I'm a man. Like, my name is
Mhm.
Jeffrey. But
Was that Jeffree Star that did the Britney thing?
No.
Okay.
No. That's two
I'm just
different
saying.
characters. But that guy, leave Britney alone. I forgot what his name. He's transitioned, has a girl name now, and like is a Trump supporter, and talks shit. Like you got to see like his comedy, and when the transgender community comes after him, it's like I don't give a shit what you have to say, and goes off, but in the smartest, wittiest way. I kind of like that tranny. I love him actually. He's awesome.
I don't know
I
if you're
support
allowed-
that tranny because he's, not
I
a
was like, the first time, the second time, we're definitely gonna get a strike for how many times you're saying that in the row.
oh my god, fuck! I love him though.
Honestly, that should be its
Not
own
a
segment. Just like the like you're on notice. Now it's like I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not a pervert though. Like he's still against like kids with grooming, and like he's like a good, he's an adult. He
that's
can do whatever he
important.
wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
He believes
fucking
in
love
like
that
not going into
tranny.
the
Can we
woman's
talk?
bathroom. No, trannies are okay. Just don't be a pervert. Oh my god.
That'll
stop
be
saying
that
it.
is totally a new segment.
Saying it.
Here comes Layla's segment. I love that tranny.
Yeah. There's a few of them out there who are pretty awesome. Not gonna front. They respect women. And I love that.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Like favorite tranny of the week.
What's his name?
Like now
this
I'm
going
like,
on
we're in
Wednesday
trouble
night?
for it.
You could actually do that because they're like dropping all the time, right? And like people can like come back out and be like, "Oh, look, like whatever, LeBron James just came out. He's
Kara
the new one."
Cunningham. That's his name now. He transitioned to Kara Cunningham. You are
Choked
the
on me.
transgender of the week. We love you. I love you, actually. I'll speak for myself.
You are this week's tranny, and we'll have like a
Cheers.
tranny in the car, like
Yeah.
Brum, 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 brum.
yeah,
Somebody with a wrench.
yeah, yeah. Layla's
Yeah,
tranny,
Turkish
and it'll
coffee.
be called
Yum.
Layla's tranny of the week, and it'll just
Mm.
be a segment too that she can make a little award and tag them on X
Yeah.
and
why
write
the
a whole
fuck not?
write up of like, here's what they're doing good in the
Mhm.
community.
Yeah.
Somebody write this down.
It's a nice little segment. Why not? We can make it happen.
Layla's tranny of the week.
Tranny of the week. Little jingle. Oh.
I like this. I think we're brainstorming here.
I know this
I
is
like
just a
it.
brainstorm. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I don't hate humans as a whole. Just don't be a pervert. I hate perverts. The period.
Period.
You're on
Pervert.
perverts. You're on notice.
Perverts.
Yeah, perverts. Y'all notice. Like I mean, like like kids. Like if you're perverted towards kids and women who don't want it, you're a pervert.
No means no.
Yeah.
And children are
On
children.
fucking
that means
notice.
no.
I love it.
I
And
know.
yeah.
Yeah, adults can do whatever adults they're up to. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I think sometimes when I look around at the things going on, the shenanigans, I think that it was best that like my grandparents died when they did.
Right?
I've had that thought a couple times. I just wonder, like, what was going on in my grandpa's head in like the last days as he saw everything coming. He's still trying to figure out what like an Alexa is and like how to pair Bluetooth and stuff. It was a little like he stayed up. He was sharp as a tack, but I always wanted to know his like actual opinion on all the weird new stuff coming out. And this is way before how weird it got in the last 10 years.
Like it would have been so rad to sit down. Like could be a whole segment for real, where we sit down a couple of 80-year-olds and then we show them like, what do you think of this Paint the Town Red video? What do you think of this? Just stuff going on. What do you think of this outfit at the Met Gala? What do you think
Y'all.
of like? And then we film it.
I got asked out by a 91-year-old man today at the gym. Like, and I've talked to him before, but I mean, like,
Does he have a tranny fetish?
Yeah,
Just kidding.
what kind of
No, he just thinks I'm
Just
hot.
kidding.
He was like,
you're beautiful.
like he's rich too, and he goes, like, he just kind of started to hit on me and everything, and I was like,
I was gonna
okay.
ask that question.
And then
Is
I
he
started
rich?
working out, and then he goes, I gotta tell you something. I was like, okay, and he goes, I bought a car, and I was like, oh, you replaced your truck because he's got a really nice truck, and he goes, oh no, I still drive my truck. The car is parked in my garage. I don't even drive it. I was like, oh yeah, well, what'd you get? And he goes, a red Camaro. And I was like,
flexing?
oh, nice. And he goes, yeah, I haven't told anyone about it. He's like, not even my son. He goes, I can take you for a drive sometime, and then we can go get Mexican food. Do you like Mexican? I was like, this is like Anna Nicole shit.
I know. I'm
I
like,
mean,
I could
you could be
totally have a
taken
sugar
care
daddy.
of. You
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
This
And
is
he'll leave
Bitcoin.
everything to you, and then oh my god, you're set for life. What?
I know. He said his
Ugh, I
sons
could
are already
never.
like
I'm
set for
sorry.
life. So
Mm-mm. I could never.
I joke around about this, but it's absolutely true that like one of my all-time heroes, Manly Palmer Hall, that's what he did. He early on, he just started shacking up with all these sugar moms, and they funded his trips all around the world, and he got to stay home and just write books about weird esoteric topics, and basically did the modern day version of podcasting while he got that old money to just kind of like play with. There's something to be said. I don't know. There's something to be said about it.
And it is boomer game because think of everything with the new world and everything going on where they're like, would it be appropriate if I held your hand now? They have to ask, hi, could I get consent if we make out? Like, it's so not sexy.
I've drafted
And
this contract.
yeah, like now, like a boomer, think of how much game he's like, maybe I could take you for a spin in my fast car and take you out for some Mexican food. Yeah, so great. What
So
happened?
the chat wanted to know what the resolution on this was.
Yeah, are you going out with them?
I said I can only eat out on Saturdays. So I couldn't be like, nah, dog. It felt too awkward because he's like twice my age, literally.
I went on a date and he was older, but not like 90, probably like 12 years older than me.
How long do you have to wait if he's 90? Not even a decade. You're like,
yeah, but like, I just
yeah, you can still be a young woman,
dude. I don't think I could be like in a relationship. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of having to think about the other person. Like I've thought about everybody else besides me, and now like I love myself now, and I'm just like I just can't deal. I just don't even want to. I don't want it.
Well,
Like
I don't
I
think
really
you'd have to
don't
deal with
want it.
sex. I really think that's probably off the table because if somebody's like that old, like, and I know this guy is like he works out all the time, but he's had like quadruple bypass, so he probably can't take like dick pills.
probably
So.
shouldn't, but he probably does.
Yeah.
He probably got a triple bypass just for that reason.
For real.
He's like, one of these arteries is keeping her down, so I just had to get that replaced. That's why I'm at the gym every day with these little 5-pounders.
Like,
Uh-huh.
what did I get myself into?
Abbie, what's the opposite? Or just it's funny you're a cougar if you go after a young man, but just a gold digger if you go after an old man. But like, no, he's coming after me.
Yeah.
Yeah, money doesn't do it for me, man. I don't care how rich you are. It's a mentality. Something about a brain, a sapiopath, right?
Well, I'm surprised because this is the same guy who told me like years ago that I shouldn't grow my butt any bigger because he likes flat asses.
Wow, that's a
But
first.
he must like my butt, so because it ain't flat.
Yep. This old man's moving all in quick too. He's like, heard you got a divorce. You want to go out for Mexican?
I know.
We have an open agreement in our relationship that if a sugar anything pops up, that it's an open discussion. Like we'll figure that out.
That's a good quality in a relationship because money's usually an issue. So, I mean, why not?
How much does a third wheel cost these days?
Depends on the size of the tire, I guess.
That's fine. I'll be alone then. I don't give a fuck. Relationships are jail. It's just jail. That's all I feel with relationships is jail. It's like it's always about the other person. Everyone, it's like all conditional. It's fucking bullshit. I can't do it. I'm like so turned off by the idea of being in a relationship. It's weird. I used to love it. Now I'm just like, I don't want to do it. I don't have time.
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to fucking do it. Ugh.
I think relationships are okay, but the idea of marriage is like,
I don't know.
because why? I think that because this is my thing is I think that if you make it permanent, like marriage, then people get sloppy and they start getting into bad habits, and it's like, if you don't ever feel that comfortable, like totally comfortable, then you probably will work towards keeping your relationship better a little bit.
Well, this is what turned me
That's
off
my
about
theory.
the guy I went out on a date with. Yeah, we gotta work up. We gotta work on this with you. You smoke cigarettes. Why do you smoke cigarettes? You know what kind of chemicals? I was like, do you know what kind of chemicals are in the food and this and water and blah blah blah. He's like, yeah, but so I was like, I know, but this is what I like. I enjoy it. When I want to quit, I quit. Oh, we gotta work on like getting you out. Like I'm a fucking project all of a sudden. Like we gotta work on this. No, we don't gotta work on anything. I'm perfect just as I am. Okay, motherfucker.
You find your girl. I'm not her.
This is me. Like we're not changing anything about me. Point blank. Period. And anyone who tries to do that, like literally, go fuck yourself. That ain't happening.
Guys do like a good project. There's something weird about like like it doesn't have to like the project being a person is weird, absolutely. But there's still just the concept of a project ends up being alluring for a lot of different ways.
Girls like a project person. Girls are fucking queens
know.
of picking a project and being like, I just need to change the way he dresses a little. I just need to teach him the right pink. I just need to, those shoes gotta go, girl. I'm gonna give him a haircut. Don't worry. Like, girls are up to this stuff all the fucking time with their like like he's got like everything on the innards is perfect. The outwards need work, girl.
It's
Don't
kind of
worry, I'm
trained
on
that
it.
way though, right? Like if you've got a Ken doll growing up, you're used to being able to just dress your perfect man however you want, and it kind of sets that mentality in early.
Yeah. Like women had to lay out outfits for their husband like the night before. Like, here's your outfit ready for the night for the morning if you're going to work or whatever the case may be. I mean, I know a lot of in our culture they used to do it, not so much anymore, but they used to do it. Dress their men up. I'm like, wow.
When men were men.
Mm-hmm.
My mom still, my sister, every woman I know.
Mm.
Every woman I know, her man, like I feel like I akin to them sometimes. I feel like they're just sitting on the edge of the bed, like waiting to be told what clothes to
Where?
put on.
Mhm. Where's my this? Where's my that? It's in that drawer. It's in that. Note. You're not wearing that. Put that on. It's like,
Have you guys seen the big, huge rift on Facebook or on X about Elon?
wait, repeat that?
Have you seen the whole rift on X about Elon? Because
What
he
did he
put,
do?
because he pretty much posted like, oh, we need to have more immigration of smart people
Oh,
come
well,
to
I saw
America.
it started with Vivek Ramsey, whatever you say his name,
Uh-huh.
and he was talking about how it's a misnomer that Americans think they're using these H-1B visa, these foreign workers for tech in particular, and that it's not just because they think that Americans are stupid or lazy, but that was sort of like the reason why he said it's not just because of this, like that is the part of the reason, but that he was comparing that essentially Americans don't have hunger and they don't have like an actual desire to put as much work in and as much passion. And I'm on the front lines of this. I've been in this industry since the 90s, right? I've been doing this for over 30 years professionally. And what they usually leave out though is that as soon as these companies get taken over and they replace all of the regular workers with foreign and especially H-1B visa workers, the actual quality of the products tend to drop. The overall customer satisfaction hits the absolute baseline. But what happens is that all these other players in the tech space and in Silicon Valley, they're looking around and they basically see what the guys across the street are doing. And if the guys across the street are replacing their entire workforce and bringing in Indians, then that's kind of what sets the tone. Everyone just starts doing it. And you can see this because all of a sudden it'll start to falter a little bit, and then just massive, just companies are just shedding people, and it's weird. They all just pay so close attention to what everyone's doing because no one wants to be left behind in some big new innovative wave. But this is one of those things that I can absolutely like. This is globalism in action. This is saying it doesn't even matter if you're in the United States anymore because we're in such a global environment. We can just ship people in and out from anywhere. We can have them work remote. We can do. And I think that it's going to almost be this very short transition where we're all going to be angry at each other, and then AI is going to come in the back door, and it's going to be sold as, hey, do you not want to hear your employees bitching about who's getting outsourced or retraining, whatever? Here's something that's not going to complain. So I feel like we're in a tiny little blip in history where people are actually having this debate because the debate's going to be over once AI can replace all this. Like any single job that someone can bring in, someone from another country that barely speaks the language, that doesn't have the same cultural understandings, the same morality ethic, if you can replace your entire workforce with that, then that seems like a good litmus test to, can I replace everyone? Can I replace all the humans in this workforce?
I mean, that's where we're headed.
Because I mean,
gonna
a computer is not going to stop working; they'll work 24 hours.
Yeah,
So if that
nonstop.
becomes the debate, if the debate's like, oh well, they're only willing to wake 8 hours, and these guys will work 10 hours or 12 hours. I mean, you can only get up to what 24 hours, but how long do any jobs realistically? I had a job recently, the last one that I ended up leaving, went through this exact same process, and the new CEO coming in from India, he specifically was talking about in his glory days, he came from old money. Like his dad gave him money to buy a company. So he acted like he was this hotshot. He was like, oh, we used to work 18-hour days. And he would drop that in meetings all the time, almost as if it was telling everyone like, hey, if you're not willing to work 18-hour days, then what are you
This
even
will.
doing here?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how sustainable is that though? Like, it would drive anybody down into just a puddle of mush.
The only thing I see happening with that is like everyone becomes their own entertainment in their own currency with whatever we're doing. And Chaney's brought it up too. So it's like if AI is going to be the new thing and robots the new thing and all of this being the new thing, it'll give us time, but then we're going to use ourselves as a currency to create content, which I see everyone as being like their own TV show. Who do I tune in today? Like everyone's going to be on their phone. So that's what I see. Like entertainment will be us, and we'll have like pretty much nothing to do but create entertainment. So the more entertainment you create, the more time you spend on your phone like a fucking psychopath, the more money you make and the better in lifestyle you have. So
It's a little optimistic because I think that the future of creating, it's going to be more like curating. It's going to be more like you sifting through all sorts of AI generated whatever, and then picking out the ones that are half decent. And then like if you follow Layla, then Layla's got good taste and she'll pick out all the good stuff. I think that's going to be the next iteration versus people just sitting and making their own content all the time. I don't think there's the competition. There's obviously it's going to be like boutique, right? Some people go and they get like boutique salts or soaps or whatever, like little handmade trinkets and stuff. But most people don't live their entire lives off of that boutique sort of mentality. Like that's a special little treat once in a while. So I feel like the human made stuff will be those special little treats. But overall, everyone's just going to be like jumping on playlists and just figuring out tastemakers.
I kind of feel like they're going to use us as humans as a monopoly. Like we're going to be making these big corporations of these AI companies so much money using their technology and us creating content. It's like they're still using us, the slave system, to create so much motherfucking money because of us using their technology that's it. Like I don't know how else to explain it. It's basically that. we're the currency. We're going to be using their shit to create whatever that is, and it's going to cost money. So the
That's actually
hugest
a scary
monopoly.
reality when like because right now like you talk about crypto and stuff, you're basically talking about computational work represented as money, but when like the money is like smarter than us, like our actual money that we're creating becomes smarter than us, and it turns us into the currency, and now we're the ones that are just being like
and
traded
we're buying
around.
shit that they create to use the content to create the content that people are going to be buying with the money that is whatever the fuck this money is, crypto. It's just like a circulation, but they're always going to get a percentage no matter what we use, whatever click we pick, whatever skin we choose, whatever color, whatever. It's all going to cost money, and a percentage is always going to go to them no matter what the transaction. There's going to be a percentage taken out of that transaction slippage, the gas. It's wild.
I don't know if any of you guys lived through or had any friends or yourselves when like vaping was like a thing. They had like, vaping competitions and like who could blow the biggest clouds and all of this. And there would be people that were like so into the vape that they would have like these special blends of like, we're going to do 2 drops of strawberry milk cereal and like 1 drop of blueberry and like all these combinations. And it's kind of like the same analogy that I think it's going to be headed towards, where not a lot of people are going to be able to make a new flavor that no one's ever tasted before, but they might be like the people that like come up with these different flavors by mixing a whole bunch of different bases, or like pure perfumers, right? The guys that actually make all these different scents. A lot of the time they're just sort of playlist creators, right? They're just curating different stuff together and then charging crazy amounts of money in order to have access to their curation, like to their playlist. Chefs is a great example.
I do see how what you're saying with curation is such a thing, because even the market of YouTube, how big, if you looked at the numbers to podcasts who actually are just commentating on podcasts now, the commentating podcasts are bigger than the original podcasts. Like, they're getting comparable numbers now, and they just go and they curate all the dumbest moments out of all your favorite podcasts. But that's kind of, most of the podcasts started out because they're just saying, here are all your dumbest moments out of Washington,
Remember, like,
or here are all your dumbest moments out of DC. Yeah,
That's
it's
kinda what
like,
Talk Soup was, right?
yeah, it's fractaling. It's like going backwards. So it's like, and then you'll be talking about the place, talking about the commentating, and that you'll be commentating on the commentating. So eventually you're not creating anymore. You're just like, let me just pull these TikTok videos, and my account can be just as big as any of those original accounts by just curating the perfect TikTok videos on my account. Everybody follows you and they're like, oh, she curates good, she pulls good shit. I don't even have to go to TikTok. I could just go to her page. She's going to pull like the algorithm I want anyway. So
And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I think that it just seems like that's the future that we're headed towards.
well, it's like people are like, oh my gosh, nobody's watching football, baseball, whatever the sport is. Well, no one's playing those sports anymore. Like, there's so many kids now coming up with esports or all these other fragmented off other sports that isn't necessarily the thing. So why would people watch something they never played in school or don't know anything about or never cared about, or their parent didn't watch it? They never sat with their parent and had this nostalgic thing tied in anymore. Now that's Call of Duty. So
Yeah.
it's just like a
And also,
different things happening.
don't you feel like they push UFC and all these like violent, like, you know, almost like Colosseum Roman times of, like, you know, blood and gore and all that shit, and like people in a ring? Don't you feel like they're pushing that more than
I
these
think we
other
need it.
sports?
I almost think that it shouldn't go away with it, because it's, in my mind, we've got a completely symbolic like replacement of actual battle. Like, they would go out onto these fields, and that, you know, these two sort of armies would go to battle, and then whoever won the war would actually inherit that field. And originally, that there was this belief that all of the iron in the blood and all the nutrients from just the blood and the gore would nourish the soil, so that if you planted your crops on the literal battlefield, now all of a sudden, not only are you like eating, you know, all of your fallen soldiers and all of their fallen soldiers and inheriting their sort of like power, but you're also actually inheriting this like fertile soil, so that the more battles that happen, the more fertile that soil becomes. And we don't really have that exact same like reality now, except for that if you look at how much time and money they spend in perfecting the grass and making sure that, you know, this soil that they're going to be playing on top of is, I mean, they probably spend more to make sure that that grass is nice and clean than most people would need to like live for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, they actually have so much money dedicated to making it absolutely pristine. So I think that it's a direct example. And if you lose that, if you lose the symbolic version, then eventually it has to actually be replaced with real war at some point. Like, you can't just get rid of it entirely.
But don't you feel like it's like doing something to the masses, like the push for this, like how Chaney was talking about, like, okay, no more baseball, no more this, because kids are not doing that, but kids are actually fucking watching these, and now to the point where bare knuckle sports are like becoming more popular. I'm just like, is this some kind of like spell in a sense of like desensitizing us into like maybe a reality of like people just getting beat up like that is just fucking okay?
Well, a lot of it too is actual skill. They're not just like two drunk bar guys going in
Yeah.
to a thing. It's an actual skill and a
Yeah.
training. It's having discipline, and it would have been the same thing as if we, like Thomas was saying, you take this warrior from this part of the world, and you get to take this other warrior from this whole other part of the world, and instead of their people having to fight or die, we can still send the representation of that and just have known. But it has to take skill. You want your best to go. And
But
so
I
it's
also
like,
like the nationalist aspect of that too, or where because right now a lot of sports it's a little bit weird just because the guy that like your team, let's say you're on completely different coasts, right? If you're on the West Coast, the guy from the East Coast comes and he's the opposition, but then your team can just like buy him and now he's on your team. And it's weird. It's like people that grew up in that area should be the ones on that team so that the actual battles and the rivalries represent real rivalries and not just different business guys buying, like stacking the deck with their favorite cards and making those. It's like it's fantasy football, right? But if it was like the people from Chicago are literally going to be battling the people from Dallas or something, like now all of a sudden there's so much more invested in that because even if it doesn't make sense, you're almost linking like all the people in their area to like, here's the best that your city's got to offer and you lose, your city sucks. I don't know. There's something there that I think that we've lost over time that eventually we should get back or it needs to be replaced by something.
Kind of,
That's
but
why I
like,
used to go to all the OU football games, and that's what I noticed is that like the biggest rivalry is OU and Texas. It's not OU and OSU like everybody thinks, and because OSU is just not on the level. But almost every player on the OU team is from Texas.
you know what also reminds me of this? Like the whole Mr. Beast and like the way he's creating like a whole sport in this like weird, like hundreds of people. And some people have they died or like gotten really sick or injured or whatever the case may be. So it's like slowly leading to the point where people are going to actually like put their fucking life on the line and compete in these like almost Squid Game like, and Squid Game was
Well, that's what he's
pumping
doing,
on the
right? He's
charts.
trying to make it Squid Games.
Yeah, and it's like it's getting to that level where it's getting death now, like to the death or for inmates or whatever. It's gonna get like gory, I feel.
Well, this is
Slowly.
Logan's run too, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but I feel like this is what, slowly they progress and progress into these like wild
UFC's been
Babylonian.
around for so long. I feel like more people are watching it now because once you see the skill in it,
Yeah.
it's silly to are you a man by getting a touchdown or swinging a bat? Or if you say you're really the man, show the world that you're the man. Are you the most dangerous man in the world? Are you the most dangerous man at 155? Or can you throw the fastest baseball?
Yeah.
And so I just think it's a level of thing that not everyone can afford golf. Not everyone kicks a soccer, but every single person on any part of the world can learn how to fight. And they should learn how to fight for their people. The reason like Polish fighters are so awesome is because they had all of the arms taken away from them so many times. If you look at a lot of the people where some of the greatest fighters come from, it's because they lived under socialism and actually had to fight their way out of it. And so I think every human on the planet everybody always talks about like, being well armed and knowing how to shoot your gun. You don't know how to throw your fist. You don't know how to throw an elbow. You don't know how to do a rear naked choke. Like, for a woman especially, I feel like there is nothing you can do. Very few women out there can do anything to get away. And most of the time you should scream and run. That should be your first thing. Kicking balls, run. But if you end up in a position, the only shot you have is a rear naked choke.
Or
And
a
so
gun. I mean, if
or
you
a
do have a
gun,
gun,
but
that's
there's so many
preferable.
times that those aren't the thing. And so I think there's a masculine about fighting that a lot of feminine doesn't like, but they wanted to feminize our nation. And that's why I think bringing it back and making guys a little more rough and stuff isn't a bad thing. We're a soft fucking society now.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like, that's so bloody and gory. There's a referee in there. It's so no one dies. And if you actually look at how many deaths there's been on the football field in the last year and how many deaths there's been in an octagon, it's quite significantly different. So I think that men should fight. They should know how to fight. Like whatever your size is, you should know how to fight for your size. It's not and the more capable you are, the more secure you usually are, that you're not like a petty pudgy mudge. You're
You know
not
what,
like a
for
little
kids,
dick.
there's almost zero outlet to actually have a real fight, and not get into massive amounts of trouble. Like even when I was younger, it's pretty much zero tolerance. But I know, like, when my parents were younger, fights at school were just like, it was a Tuesday. Of course, there was going to be a fight at school, and that was like a part of growing up. It was a Now, I mean, everyone's going to jail. You're in second
Yeah.
grade, you get into a fight, your ass is going. You're
It
getting
is
handcuffed.
wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it gets so crazy. So now the only real chance you got is like karate, which is kind of lame because you're not actually going to be like fighting for a lot. I got kicked out of every karate class I ever tried doing as a
Of course
kid,
you
not
did.
as
Why
an
does
adult,
that
like as a
not
kid.
surprise me, Tom?
It's like, don't take this kid, don't take him back. You know, he keeps just like wanting to punch things. Because I saw Three Ninjas, so I thought I was a ninja. But I mean, it almost seems that there should be like a safe place. There should be like an actual, punching class in school. What if in school, instead of learning how to do whatever stupid fractions they want to put up in your head, it's like, we're gonna teach you how to punch.
Well,
Or
they used to teach you
jujitsu.
how to shoot guns in school. So,
Right? Yeah,
like,
they should bring that
did we
back
have
too.
school shootings then? They probably learned like gun safety and stuff and to respect it a hell of a lot more.
Shop
Now it's just a
class
fucking toy.
gone. Home ec gone. What else?
Civics gone, ethics
yeah,
gone,
all of that shit gone.
Dude, I
Gone.
took a
Latin
child development
gone.
class in high school on accident because I got out of my drama class and everything in the mid semester, so that was like the only bonehead class they could throw me in at the last minute. Everybody who's gonna have kids should have to take a class like that. Like, it's wild. I realized it was actually a valuable class.
Jewelry
Which-
making class.
Which class?
Child
classes.
development,
What do they do in child development?
like they teach you like the word
Homunculus growing.
consistency. Like,
You
seriously,
develop
they
a
teach you like
homunculus.
did you like that's like the biggest thing when you're parenting and nobody teaches you that shit. Like that whatever you decide to do as your method of discipline or whatever, or like following through, it's just always being consistent. And it's like I didn't even really realize what that word was and that it applied to like raising children. Like that was a big deal for me. I don't know. If you're gonna have kids, you should kind of learn about having kids a little bit.
Do you know what's fascinating about kids and autism that I'm learning? There's these tapes that are going around.
Be
and they're
careful
called-
when you say it and say it in a way that we're not going to get pulled off YouTube.
I even forgot what the name of the tapes are called. Shit.
But already when you start, just so you know, the AUT, right? When you say that,
Telepathic?
that is like every bot's like, "Whoop."
Telepathic. Okay. It's
The
about like
puzzle kids.
these types of kids that I just talked about.
Uh-huh.
They're telepathic. So not all of them, but it's a certain spectrum of
There
them
goes
that
the
are
YouTube.
like
It's gone.
You just called autism kids
You're not allowed
magic.
to call
Never
them
mind.
telepathic.
You're not allowed to call. That's going to be medical.
I didn't say
Allegedly.
I'm just
Not
kidding,
medical.
I'm just
We're just
kidding.
teasing.
I didn't say it, I swear. So apparently the spectrum, I guess, of the
I didn't know if you were
what's-
going to bring up Fauci in the next breath. So I was
No,
like,
no, no,
let's
no, no.
just. Okay,
so
go on.
apparently the spectrum of children who are in this certain telepathic view are the ones who can't really speak. They have a really hard time speaking. So this parent who is doing this study, their child was in the other room. And the mother would think of, let's say, a house, or let's say a number, or a word, or whatever the case may be. 95% of the time, the child guessed exactly what the mother was thinking. So they're doing a study now and understanding, like, how is my child like reading my mind? Like 95% of what I'm thinking in my head, my child is in the other room writing down or typing on the screen what I'm thinking. And there's a video clip that I posted of these children that they've, I guess, are doing studies with. They asked about the P. Diddy situation and Biggie, and how P. Diddy, with a smirk on his face, wanted to plan it. Like, they spelt it out. Like, it's fucking crazy. You guys got to look into it. These children are very special. I think it's some sort of weird testing that's going on that we have no idea what the government is doing, but I feel like they're trying to create or unlock something or I don't know yet, but there's something very special about these children to be
Well,
able
they
to.
sound like precogs, like
Dude.
Minority Report style, except they're instead of looking for crime, they're like, "Who killed Biggie?"
Dude,
You-
I'm
This
telling
is
you,
a good song by Real Rye or Die. Obese children make me cry.
it's either something with their crystalline system inside that is vibrating on a frequency that I'm understanding that we have, and it's vibrating on a frequency that can let them see things in a spectrum. Like they could see letters in color, they can see numbers in color, and vibrational frequency. Like they can see things that we can't comprehend. So I feel like they're vibrating inside and a different frequency that can let them see the spectrum of maybe the plasmic field that is out there, but we can't see it.
Yeah,
So
whatever happened to our version of that, which were the Indigo children? Like, where did they all go?
We
Like,
lost. Where did all the indigo children go?
where did
but
they
seriously,
go?
like there should be a whole bunch of them that are like flying and like transforming water into wine or kombucha or whatever it is that they would end up doing in 2024.
They gave birth to the rainbow children.
That was the missing element. It was like Fifth Element or Captain Planet.
Yep.
Captain Planet, he's the hero.
Oh, we're gonna get pulled down for copyright.
Copyright, fuck.
I'm just
Fucking
kidding.
shit, Layla. You're such a troublemaker. That's how
Oh
I
my-
roll.
Do you think Americans are sensitive about anyone talking about like, let's just open up the borders for immigration? Do you think it's just a sensitive topic right now? Or do you think it's the inevitable great divide between Elon and Trump? Do you think
Hasn't
Elon
that-
and Trump can ride this wave together?
Hasn't immigration always been a fucking thing? Or like as long as I can remember?
Yeah,
This whole-
there's a very specific moment in time, at least in America, because everyone always
Mhm.
points to the Statue of Liberty and bring me your poor, and like that we had this immigration, but that's not really how it worked. Because when there was massive immigration, there was not also welfare. The welfare and like the Ellis Island style immigration, those two things were completely independent of each other, and it's almost like two binary switches. Like one goes on, the other one has to go off. So now it's like, okay, immigration's here, but welfare is gone, or welfare's here and immigration's gone. But to have them both operating the exact same time, it just seems like an intentional bank run. Like it
Yeah.
seems like something that people that have money that extends beyond just financial capital, like these are the Soroses of the world that can just go and play
Yes.
with economies and destroy them. That's something at play here, but no one ever brings up that one particular dynamic, which seems like it's
so true.
everything.
It's so true. That's what happened with Albania and Serbia, the whole Kosovo, the whole war. Who started it? Yes, Serbia, but whatever. Who funded it? 100%. I know in my gut. USA funded it. Russia funded it. Soros family funded it. They want a piece of whatever was going on there. As long as they have some kind of control in that area, they have their hands on it. So, yeah, that's what's happening here. Then what happened? Refugees. Refugees were sent by the hundreds of thousands here in America. Why? To displace Albanians, like always, like to displace populations to conquer. Boom. In America, Fort Knox, Fort this, Fort that. They were like piling them up. And I visit the camps in the bases. So
I think I'm black-pilled on this a little bit. I just don't see, like, I don't see in our lifetimes or in like the next generation's lifetimes there's going to be a good old made in American like resurgence where now all of a sudden everyone's manufacturing. That's just not how it's ever going to work again. And even when everything was quote unquote made in America, weren't we just importing all of that from Germany anyways, and just using spoils of war to kind of spur like our economic growth? Like we were basically just melting down Nazi gold teeth and turn that into our transistors, into everything else that we were pumping out around that time. Like all of the metal that people had saved up and turned into the government during World War II, like actual Disney movies and all the war bonds, like all of this, that like the spoils came from being at war and not losing, right?
Yeah.
But that's not also a sustainable way to constantly have this like made in America aspect, especially when all the stuff that we make now, mostly weapons, get outsourced immediately.
But each time these wars too, they like sent away all the men and then they forced the women to go and do all these things inside the factories. And the American people didn't want to go into that fucking war at all. That's why they had to do a false flag called Pearl Harbor. And so it's just like over and over again. It just seems like we're on the cycle of like the American people don't want to go to war. And then the Pentagon just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And whatever these black ops are getting bigger and bigger and bigger in the budget for them. And then it doesn't even matter whatever budget it is because there's just trillions of dollars that every single time they try. It's almost like if anyone ever comes out from the government and tells us that one of their audits just went wrong, just be ready for a false flag the next day. It just seems like 100% of the time. So I don't know. It's like we're bamboozled becomes it's illegal. It's not like people want to do these things. They're like, oh, you have to turn in your metal to the government so they can fucking make weapons. And then they end up taking all the metal from the American people, making weapons that they sell to a whole nother country that will fight in 20 years.
Yeah.
Like it's never weapons we make for our boys. Our boys always have the like shittier of all of the technology. So they're like, you know what? We should just send them in Vietnam with guns that don't work in water to fight guns that we sent Vietnam to fight against the French. This will be perfect.
And this is such an old story too. I don't know if you ever heard of the Morgan affair, but in the Morgan affair, I think this was World War One. The J.P. Morgan, like the family, they went out and they bought all of these guns that had been rejected by the U.S. military for being basically defunct or having issues with them, and they claimed that they had basically fixed them all and sold them back to the military for massive amounts of profit. The only problem is they didn't do a damn thing to them. They just sort of like bought them, like repackaged them and sent them right back, to the point where the U.S. troops were bringing them out onto the battlefield and trying to shoot them, and like their heads were exploding, their hands were exploding, like because like the actual problem still existed. So I mean, this is like a tale as old as time itself, right? It's not going to change anytime soon, where they just give the actual frontline grunts the least possible viable object. Like another thing comes up too, and whenever the term military spec gets thrown around, this one's kind of funny to hear, just because if you know what military spec means, it just means what's the least amount of money the government can spend on something while it still passes all the qualifications. It doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean that it's even like superior in any way. Mil spec just means what's the absolute bottom of the line cheapest way that I can make this thing that does a certain thing. So I mean, that's kind of like always been sort of crap. I don't want to just shit on America the whole time, but these things are seems like irreparably broken. Like there's no even people that want it to go on. And I guess I am triggered a little bit because now when Elon Musk, he comes out and he's like, you're just not willing to work 18-hour days. This is why H-1B visas. This is why immigrant workforce is the future, because Elon Musk represents somebody that has more money and that could potentially do more for every single citizen in this country than the government could, because the government is in how many trillions of dollars of debt. So they've got this out of like, hey, we can't afford it right now. I can't give you that $5. We can't afford to give you your FEMA relief of $600 this year. We're a little bit tight. Meanwhile, Elon's like, one individual that just has so much money, and he's basically saying like, if I can't milk an extra 4 hours out of you, what good are you for me? So I don't know. It's very blackpilling.
But then, so we're going to bring in immigrants, and then they're not going to be subject to workplace law, like.
Well,
So they can work 18-hour days.
Even when
I get it if they're not having to come across
Well,
the
he's saying
border,
that
but if they're in
Americans
the
aren't
United
even
States,
hungry like that. Like
okay.
an Indian will come over and they want to work 18 hours, where Americans
they don't want. They definitely don't want to. The problem is that this is a weird thing that I also saw firsthand from people that I was like working alongside and training and everything. But that when they get some of these H-1B visas, they're sort of beholden to whoever their sponsor is. So if that company is the one that's like making sure that their visa stays up to date, because it's a complicated process, right? Like you can't just do it on your own. You usually have to have someone that's helping you navigate all that. And what will happen is that a company will start playing this game of like, oh, you don't want to come in on Sunday? yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get to all that paperwork. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get all that. Or God help you if there's a rumor that you're like looking elsewhere because
That's indentured servitude.
it's exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
It's indentured servitude. And so then it's like, oh, you have a company. But then, you know, if I'm going to call a spade, Elon Musk has 10 children. I did not see him with one of them on Christmas Day. So is 18 hours a workday the thing that a man should be doing best for his family?
I feel
Or
like it'll
is
make your kids hate you. That's part of it.
yeah, and so then you brought around your one kid for a photo op and you do these things. So it's just like you got 10 kids in a Christmas tree and you're standing there called Ozempic Santa. You always seem to be around your mom, but you're not a family man. So you're not the same as an American man that I know.
He's just trying to get as much video footage of him with his kids before they swap whatever gender they're going to end up being. So he's just like making sure he gets it all in now.
I know before the mom, it's like he's not even allowed to be around them because one tweet on X. And it's also interesting that he
God help me, I will change your son.
he was the biggest user on X. And I see all these people, you know, because it's all like, oh, you can't say anything about Elon. I'll take your blue check. Go to my X account and put Elon in the top and see what I say about Elon. I don't think it's that at all. I think that like there's other stuff at play going on and there's other psyops of certain people that they've been in the game a long people think just because it's like not Julia Roberts or Tom Hanks or like George Bush, like the CIA is in the psyops to me, and the divide and conquer is all the way on all these platforms. It's like your favorite podcasters and your favorite X room hosts and fake fights your favorite X room hosts are having. I think it's all part of the even how like right when everything's Israel and Palestine, we're just going to talk about this and how these are all the X rooms that get the most amount of numbers. This is the one that everyone's going to go look at. What makes those numbers? Like, I don't know. To me, and now you can watch anonymously. Listen to Anonymous. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff that I think Elon wants to see himself as Ready Player One, that he leaves us the golden egg. He doesn't want to see himself as a dictator. He wants to see himself as a hero. And so when he posted that, and it's like when the internet flipped against him, because it's been really fun for him to play with MAGA. It's been really fun for him to be the hero and have all this like
That's
75%.
not make America great again, though. Or if it is, it's like a new version of America that he's defining in his new way. That's not really the same as make America great again. This is like make Elon's version. Or at this point, I almost feel like some of the stink is rubbing off on Trump too. That if Trump doesn't also come out and sort of like speak against this particular concept, but I almost feel like he wouldn't, because Donald Trump is also sort of like this rich globalist dude, you know? I don't really America first, yeah, but I also think that he would probably buy China if it meant that it would save a buck.
Well, he did say that if Canada became the 51st state, he'd save 60% on their taxes.
Yeah.
Isn't that? I mean, I know it's a joke, but that's kind of the idea. It's the basically the premise of the H-1B visa. It's like, oh well, technically you are American while you're here, and you've got this particular card. You're basically a temporary American, so you're going to get all the benefits afforded to that,
as
and
long as
it's a
you
weird
do what
cheat
your
code.
corporation daddy says. So
Right.
then it becomes a privatized thing that the private corporation decides who comes in over the legal form of immigration, or whatever form each state or government or country. Now the corporation can abide outside of that. What is the corporation? Is the corporation X the everything app? Is it SpaceX? Is it Tesla? Is it boring? Like, what is the corporation? Or is Elon just an autist and he just has a Twitter account that happens to be the most watched thing in the world and he happens to be the world's richest guy? But it also seems like such a Lex Luthor setup.
I feel like Elon's gonna pull. What's the guy's name? He was a YouTuber, like Nick Avocado, that would like do all these weird mukbang videos, and then all of a sudden it was like a video of him super skinny, and he was like gotcha. Like it was a weird thing. I feel like Elon's gonna do something like that, but he's gonna be like, I haven't done a single tweet in the last 4 years. It's all been AI. Like mic drop moment.
I can't believe we haven't had this conversation. Like something about this exact thing. I'm like, I'm having such deja vu about this exact moment. Like, I'm
Well-
like, and then I say this here.
Well,
weird.
apparently there's a conspiracy with that guy saying that he planned this because he knew he was going to get fat. So he made recordings of himself while he was skinny, knowing that in the future that he was going to put it out one day and like blow the internet up. Like that's how fucking crazy he is in his fucking creation of what he's been doing. But I don't know. Did he really lose weight? I don't know. But
I mean, let's be honest. All he did was ate a bunch of Taco Bell in front of a camera. It wasn't like he was going and like climbing mountains and like wrestling alligators or something. The dude just went out and just got everything on the menu at Steak and Shake and recorded himself eating it.
in a particular
I should
way
do that
too.
post show because like your ghrelin, the hormone after a show, like is broken, so you never feel full. So like, yeah, I should do that. I should make videos after a show of you guys. You guys would be so grossed out watching me.
Well, even the mukbang, you don't have. It's how you edit it. You don't have to eat the whole mukbang. It's just how sloppy.
Yeah, some people
but
like.
I'll eat it sloppy, but
Oh
I'm
my
just
gosh,
saying,
we should do a
you should see
mukbang
how
on
much
the
I
show
could
one
fucking
night.
eat it.
I
Yeah.
would do it, and I'm good at mukbang. The way I make food look, oh my god, I should do mukbangs for.
Wait, are there like rules to? I thought you literally just went
Yes.
and
Yeah,
got.
you
The way
pile
you
food
chew,
on. You
the
have to
way you
fucking
slurp.
Do it
squirt a bunch of
sloppy.
shit.
So
Yeah,
would like a Nathan's hot dog contest be considered mukbang, or is there something missing?
no,
That
it's
would be
like
that. That
You
would
would
be
want to like run it
TNG,
down your
which is
arms and shit,
that
right?
nigga gay, nigga gay,
so
nigga
it's
gay.
like having a silent room, and you're just eating like let's say lo mein, or let's say something crunchy like or whatever. You have to make it sound so good, or like let's say you're biting into like a cream filled donut. You got to make sure that the cream like kind of spills out and act like you can't get it, but like let it drip on the side, like you know.
No, it
you
doesn't
got-
just have to be that too.
Well, they do
could-
it.
but it has to be. There's ones that aren't sexy girls.
Oh,
There's
I know.
just like, or they're not.
know.
It's not even.
I
and
didn't even know there was a sexy mukbang
There is.
category.
It's like an amount of food, and there is a sexy mukbang where everything's sexual. Like there's like ladies that they're like, I'm gonna tell you how to deep fry a chicken, and their tit is hanging out while like a 2-year-old's trying to suck their tit the whole time, and you're like,
Crazy.
what is this?
But it's like it's very ASMR, and they're like whispering before they eat sometimes.
They
Like
do
this-
have a close microphone, and so you
Yeah.
hear everything, like all the sounds, and then they make a lot of
It sounds like hell to me, actually. Like I
mhm.
can't. I don't have a lot
It
of
makes me
things that
hungry.
are, like pet peeves, but just hearing somebody chew and swallow and
Smacking
masticate.
when people smack their food.
It's some like even growing up, I couldn't even be around like my parents if I could hear them eat. I'd have to go into like another room, and it's the weirdest thing because it's not like it's offending me, but it'll make me angry. Like I'll get angry at like the coworker, and then as soon
What
as
would
it
be your
stops, I'm gone.
mukbang?
What
would be if you made a
be?
mukbang bowl? Like, what would be in your mukbang that you decide to eat? Like for me, I'm doing like a crab lobster boil with corn on the cob and eggs, sausage, like all
Oh, I mean,
buttery.
someone else is footing the bill. We're
I'm
going
doing-
Japanese barbecue.
I'm doing noodles all day, lo mein.
Just sushi. Just like would all you can eat sushi be a mukbang, or is
Yes.
this also?
Yeah, you could totally
Absolutely.
mukbang it,
Dumplings.
and we
Oh.
just
Well, there you
sit here
go.
the whole time, and we just
Crispy
fucking chow
dumplings.
down,
I could sell
mukbang, and get
crispy
messy. Cover. We'll wear plastic raincoats.
Mukbang sashimi,
I'm
chef's
getting
choice.
hungry. What the fuck?
I know. I was like, I need to go.
We'll do
eat
it
my last meal
for
really
the
quick.
show after Abbie is allowed to eat her thing.
But I'm not gonna pick one food. I want like everything. I'm gonna want pancakes and freaking.
Oh my
Everything,
gosh,
like,
maybe we
stuff
just
that
have to
doesn't
go
match.
to an IHOP and then film
There's
that.
just
That's a
things
whole
that don't
nother
match.
ride. That's a whole nother journey.
I recently went to one of these places. It was new to me, but like a little place that does sushi, but it's all automated. There's like no people. There's a chef there, but everything else is robots. And like the
Weird.
drink comes with a little robot, and like all of the food just comes on this little conveyor belt and you just grab. I know they're big in Japan already, or in like Korea or something. But it was I don't know, it was a new, interesting experience because literally no human action at all. Like you go in, you sit down at a table, like robots control everything, and then you just leave without ever interacting with another, except for the people that you show up with.
So you ain't got a tip.
Actually, no, I don't think you do have the tip. No.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to tip a robot.
Another reason to start just replace the workforce. They won't only be bitching about that anymore.
I think some concepts could be all robot and other concepts could not. Like the higher you go in stars, the more you want human service.
Yeah.
Like would a robot couldn't be a psalm yet. Like it just wouldn't know shit about wine and it wouldn't know how to pair wine.
I don't know. I think it could. I think it absolutely could be like an amalgamation of every one of the best sommeliers on the planet, and then like combine all of their knowledge into one. I think it would be more of like if you didn't trust robots, or if
or how are you going to smell it though? Some things are purely on the uncork in the moment. Like how would you even, or
sensors?
Or yeah, but then like, or if I make a plate and I'm like, hey, Sam, pair this. Like there's certain things
analyzing. It's like, oh, you've got this kind of protein, you've got these kind of acids that would pair. Like, I don't know. I think that it would be a very real possibility. I don't even know.
It would be like somebody would have to enter it all
at a certain point, but they could be in Bangladesh somewhere and just like networking it over into the sommelier. Like you're paying top dollar for the best sommelier, but it's being run by an H-1B visa worker somewhere in like a dark closet.
I don't know, because even I would any of the companies with those, it just is like misery. Anytime you call any call center and you hear it do that click and you're like, oh no. And then you look at the time and you're like, I knew better. I should just get off the phone right now. I shouldn't do this to myself, but you do. It's a nightmare. You just, when somebody picks up the phone and they're like, just anywhere America accent, you're like, oh my God, thank you, God. Thank you. You don't even care. You're so happy. You're like, I just want help.
Even if
you don't
they're
even
grumpy. I prefer it if they're grumpy, because then I know it's an actual person that's not going to BS me. You know what I mean? Like I had one of those. We did this huge the Illuminati comic, and for the last 2 weeks, I've disappeared off the planet because I've just been sourcing the coins and the shirts and the VHS boxes and the stickers, and I had, out of all the people I've talked to, I had a call to get 400 of these like old VHS cassette tapes, and I called the manufacturer, and the lady was so irritated that I was even like calling her on the day after Christmas. It was just like, yeah, what do you want? And I was like, hey, I'm trying to get these VHS boxes. There's a number on the page, and I'm just like, what? Like, is it 7? As I see a number, that's not it. Like, not trying to help me at all.
Oh my God.
Also, like, this is so much better than some auto, like press 6 if you want to have a blah blah blah. Like it just went right to this grumpy lady. So I don't know. There's something that I appreciated, like talking to that human being in that case. So maybe that's part. Maybe in the future, when you're rich, it's not about hiring the best sommelier. It's about going to like Dick's Last Resort and having someone like stick their finger in your Coke.
Yeah, maybe that there is something like
spit in your mouth a little bit right before you eat your taco.
Or the gamble of,
Ooh,
am I gonna
sexy.
like this? Is this service gonna suck? Like sometimes I think you want the gamble of like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I ever put in my mouth. Like I do. I appreciate the gamble sometimes.
Well, that's because like the best taco shops and stuff in Southern California are like the scariest looking ones. Like if they look nice at all, then they're gonna have shit food.
You want a roach to come out.
You
Like you want
absolutely do, and you will have the finest food you've ever had. Same thing in like Arkansas. You go to the little shacks and stuff. You're gonna have the best fried chicken and freaking
because they haven't
catfish
changed it in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, like oh my God, this is amazing.
Got that patina taste to it.
Well, that's what some of the health code enforcement actually took away a lot of our old world good stuff. Like health code ruined a lot of wood cooking, brick cooking, like a lot of stuff that's coming back now big in culture, but it was a lot of bullshit health codes that they were like, no, you have to put soap on this wood cutting board. You're like, no. So I don't know.
It's wild too when you see them publish all the restaurants and the ones that get shut down temporarily and all the different grades. And then it's like there'll be some that had, silverfish and cockroaches and like all the worst things that you would expect, rat feces or something. And then they fix it all and they're open a week later. It's like, how much have they really corrected course in a week anyways? So it just seems like it's all kind of a big ruse. You know what I mean? It just seems like it's intentionally made to get people to like pay, the government off or to pay off the inspectors in some ways.
That's sometimes I don't know. I think everything's factions. I don't even think it's necessarily like good versus evil. I think it's a whole bunch of factions, but some of the factions are very old and families and groups, and then they can have shadow corporations and governments. And it just makes it interesting once it's stock market, then we can slowly buy up the bottom floor of everything. And okay, here's a conspiracy. Shout out to Dustin. If the United States plans on doing kind of a digital Federal Reserve and they want to, when Trump becomes president, they want to buy 2% of Bitcoin, doesn't it make sense that they'd want it to tank to pre-election price beforehand so the US could get 2% of it at 69,000 instead of 110,000 a share or whatever, a coin? So it's just like curious, like, oh, that could actually be a real conspiracy. It could be a purposeful, like, not necessarily rug, but if they plan on buying 2%, that's a huge amount.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it's the actual government digital currency, they don't really need to back it by anything. All they got to do is do some. And this seems like the easiest transition is they would say anyone that's paying taxes, if you use this new digital currency to pay your taxes, you get whatever 1% off, 5% off. That would immediately give it value because most of the time, whenever a government issues money, if it's not backed by something tangible, then the only way they can give it value is by to force you to give it back to them. They spread it out into the world and they say, hey, now, Chaney, if you want to live another year without going to jail, you got to figure out a way to go and hunt down 500 of these little pieces of paper that we just spread. It's like the worst freaking like scavenger hunt ever, right? The government's like, we hid all like millions of these little pieces of paper, and you got to go and find 500 and bring it back to us at the end of the year, and just do that every single year. Because if they didn't do that, if they didn't say or else you go to jail or else we take your car, your house, or whatever, then there would be no value. No one would give, half of a shit about it. And they would just invest in all the other non-government backed things. But that's usually exactly what would happen. But they wouldn't need to force it the same way if they just said, hey, everyone gets a discount if you transition to this new thing. Easier for you, easier for us. The same kind of thing where like companies will give you a discount if you go paperless or if you put them on auto pay. They just know that like getting you into the digital side of things is more convenient for them, and they can pitch it as if it's like more convenient for you too.
Yeah, I mean, because even if it's a fragment of a cent for gas or some kind of thing that you're pitching out money to someone, it's not a stamp and a piece of paper.
Are you one
and
of our rewards members? Do you have your little card in order to get like the cheaper price and the higher price? It's all that sort of a game to just digitize. And I think that's the government just is so massive and it moves so slow that it hasn't really had to digitize itself yet. Everything is still so old world, old school. Even when I was in the military in the early 2000s, they were just barely starting to digitize all their records. There were so many records that I had to pull that I would literally have to go to like an archive room somewhere and like look through pieces of paper. You know what I mean? It was wild because, I had been already using the internet for a decade at that point. I was doing programming and like the world had advanced so far. And then to see that, we were using like old Rolodexes and like sliding filing cabinets and stuff, it's so wild. And the military is more nimble than the government at large. So the government is still so far behind.
And it's not like if your government's all ran by a bunch of 80-year-olds, it's not like they're wanting to advance the technology.
Right.
Like,
right.
they're
They
not
can't
even
remember
trying to.
their LastPass. Yeah.
No, like, look at poor Hillary. She had a server in her bathroom because she didn't even know any better because she was just a poor old lady. She was just a poor old boomer with a server in her bathroom that went in real time directly to China. No one ever talks about that anymore. Wild.
I think that is an example of intentional blackmail. I think that if Hillary didn't directly, but somebody opted in for that in exchange, because like having China have blackmail on you actually gives you more power in a weird way.
Because they have to
You're
keep you
valuable to
Really?
China
alive.
now.
Yeah, they
Ah,
can't kill you. It's almost like a mob family. You're a made man, but made by China. So
Right.
if we take out Hillary now, that's a whole nother. Do we want all of China coming after us? They don't give a shit. Like,
I mean,
like
that's
different.
our retaliation is like if someone takes out Hillary, China comes and takes that person out.
Yeah,
mm,
it's a whole next level. Like you don't even know. It's like different mafia families. That's what it is kind of interesting. If like, yeah, China has blackmail on me, but if you mess with me, China's gonna come after you. It's like,
But that's exactly how I feel about the P Diddy thing, and Epstein, where it's essentially like you want to have blackmail on you because that means that you're valuable to these people in higher positions of power. Like if you thought you were somewhere in the rap world, but P Diddy didn't have some sort of blackmail on you, then how much power did you actually have? You weren't really that far up enough because you hadn't been to the freak off. And by going to the freak off, you get blackmail on you, but it's almost a badge of honor. Like you would wear that as a way of saying, like, hell yeah, I've got blackmail on me. Like, what do you think? I'm a nobody?
do you think that maybe they just do this all and say they have blackmail on each other, but they really don't care because they just fucking flow that way? It's like one big fuck fest of people who just like fuck each other, you know? So like they have their own orgies because they're the elites, they're the emperors or whatever you want to fucking call them that everybody wants to idolize. So it's like they are part of this whole government scheme of control and mind control and MK Ultra. And it's like, do these people really fucking die? Was there fucking disguises all along? Are they creating these um plots for us to be so invested in the stories that they give us in the drama? It's like sometimes I feel like maybe this is all Epstein. Maybe they just make it up. P. Diddy, maybe they just make it up sometimes. And they're all on this fucking island somewhere, just chilling and fucking vibing out. Like, I swear, and they're just laughing like, yo, these fucking people are retarded, bro. Look what we can do. And I feel like they can easily fucking fool the masses at this point with everything that we have in today's society. But again, I'm just being devil's advocate. I'm not saying it's true, but don't you think maybe that could be a huge possibility in what's actually happening here?
Yeah, well, I think like Epstein and Diddy, they're kind of like when the Forbes like richest people comes out in the magazine. Most
Mhm.
people realize that these are just the ones that aren't so rich that they can afford to make sure Forbes never lists their name, right? That's a whole
Mhm.
extra level of rich. So if you actually make it into the Forbes, top like richest people, it's actually almost like a sideways dig. It's almost like saying like, look at these people that think they've got real money. We're just going to kind of make fun of them a little bit. This is going to be a humiliation ritual. So I think that the Epstein and Diddy, it's kind of that same thing where it's like, yeah, you might be rich and powerful and you've got this public status, but you're not so rich and powerful that you don't get to work with just the underground network. Like where like the rest of Ghislaine's network, right? The ones that didn't make the news, those ones that are still in operation, those are probably the ones that are kind of like being in the background of Hollywood as opposed to being a star on the stage, right? That you actually have to be the face of the public and people have emotions towards you and things go up and down. But if you're just like a producer somewhere that's raking in all the extra money, you don't have to deal with any of that public facing stuff. You're like this whole extra level of powerful, I think. So I don't like the Epsteins and the Diddies. That again, it's for like the new money sort of people to get swept up in.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
Was
just
that
fucking
Dinner
weird.
for Idiots? You ever seen that movie before?
Maybe.
I think that's what it's basically where a bunch of like rich people invite a bunch of like people that are either broke or that are like new money over to dinner, and they just straight up kind of like make fun of them right in front of them, but they don't realize it until towards the end. And that's the whole premise, is that they're so bored that they just want to invite over rubes and just like watch rubes be rubes like up close and in person, almost like it's going to like a petting zoo.
I know. Gaia freak offs. That's so funny because somebody was like, "Oh, I saw." I put it up under that they saw Diddy on with Graham Hancock on a Gaia commercial talking about a spiritual retreat, and it's like, well, all the Gaia whole network is sus. The entirety of Gaia. I think it's
Are we
strange.
talking the idealistic thing from like the early 2000s, like Zeitgeist Gaia, or is this Gaia like Lovelock Gaia, like the planet
The
is?
whole channel Gaia that's on YouTube. It's probably
I don't
Zeitgeisty.
know what this is.
Yeah, and
It's
like
interesting.
Graham Hancock's one of it's pretty much all the ancient alien dudes from
Okay, so this is
Discovery.
Zeitgeisty. I don't know if
Yeah.
because there was the Zeitgeist movie that got popular, and then there was like a Zeitgeist 2 or something that came out, and that was the one where they kind of like jumped the shark a little bit, where it was like, and if you believe that 9/11 was an inside job, you know, you should sign up for universal basic income, and robots are going to drive everything, and everyone's going to have their own little pods. And it was like, what the hell did this just turn into?
I know, it's just I also think Graham Hancock is one of the big every time before we're about to go through hold on. Before we're about to go through another alien like phase of the psyop again, whatever part of it, Joe Rogan has an interview the week before, whether it's with the Blink 182 guy, with Graham Hancock, it's like always a show that it's like the seed planter in the zeitgeist. So when you're like, hey, I saw this weird thing about ships over tech. Yeah, I saw that on Joe Rogan. Yeah, I saw Graham Hancock talk about that on it. It like plants because everybody's watching Joe Rogan. It's like every bro on the planet that wants to man explain something to you is watching I was taking in Rogan. Yeah, like he had Terrence Howard was saying 2 + 2 = 17, and I was like, yeah, I'm down with that. Next day, oh, I was taking in Rogan. He's so stupid. It's so funny, but whatever Rogan says is the thing they're on.
He's like just a Rush Limbaugh that talks about aliens and DMT.
It kind of is it does like it's curious to me how if it wasn't for the Tom DeLonge Blink 182 showing the pictures on Rogan first, it wouldn't always key off to me. But people met Neil deGrasse Tyson on Rogan. Like Rogan really is the most famous person to put the fake moon launch into everybody's head and then backtrack on it.
It's the view.
Yeah, that's what I
dudes.
remember.
That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, and I think the Austin, Texas takeover, which is really just the Texas takeover of Elon, the coordinated takeover of that state specifically, it's just curious. I feel like, well, California is fucked, so it's not like you need to change with the voting so much there, but you can put a Portland in the middle of Texas and make the entire state Oregon overnight. So I just
That's
think
what happened in Austin. Right?
Yeah. And Austin's has the exact same spell over it that Portland keeps over it. Keep Austin weird. Keep Portland weird. It's like, oh, but you also
Why?
like everybody. I'm pretty much a person that like adults do whatever. I don't think the government needs to. If the government should, no, they don't need to. But I do think the push during lockdowns in the Pacific Northwest for legalization of mushrooms, psychedelics, all these types of things, I think that is wild. I think it was on purpose. I think they all like started to feed into like vampires feasting on themselves. They thought the whole world, like the world is ours. Glitter dust. I don't know what happened, but it's weird. Weird times and so violent to have such a mindset and then such a violent existence over those. And it wasn't just in the Pacific Northwest, but just with the drugs and the psychedelics mixed in. That seems to be a big, huge Joe Rogan thing. Float tanks and DMT. And I feel like the only way you get to Mars is if they put you in hypersleep on float tanks and DMT.
Why do they some people say that it's like some kind of MK Ultra stuff, like the whole psychedelics, the LSD, the fucking shrooms, the this.
Because
And
that's
but I'm
where it
like,
came from. Like
did
that,
it?
like well,
Shamans who
yeah. I mean,
fucking
that's how normal like civilians came across it, because it was funded. A lot of the psychedelics that we've got access to now, magic mushrooms, LSD, even salvia divinorum, all of these things by name came directly from CIA programs. There was a guy, Robert Gordon Wasson, who was VP of Finance to JP Morgan. That name comes up constantly because JP Morgan Jr. was absolutely fascinated with mushrooms. And he sends Robert Gordon Wasson, who was also fascinated with mushrooms, to Central America and to Mexico. And he brings back magic mushrooms, and he gives that to his friend Henry Luce, who was a member of Skull and Bones. He also ran Time Life magazine, and he puts out the first 2 articles on magic mushrooms to the entire sort of U.S. and the world at large, and makes it a household name. Now, women that are staying at home and reading their Reader's Digest and their Time Life magazines as they're hanging out with the kids and doing the chores, like they're reading about this new wave of sort of psychedelics that's coming, and that wouldn't have happened without Robert Gordon Wasson, the CIA, MK Ultra. I don't know if it was like they brought it, but they absolutely knew that it was out there and it wasn't going to get here. So why not them be the ones that bring it? Because if you can introduce the chaos, then you can have some semblance of control over it, especially because the CIA also, they bought the entire world supply of LSD from Sandoz. As soon as LSD gets synthesized for the first time within a few years, they just buy all of it. Like no one else in the entire world can get a hold of it, which also means that any of it that did get out into the public, it essentially all came from the CIA directly. So like without CIA and without MK Ultra, I don't think we would have it as accessible as we do now. But I don't know if that means that they intentionally wanted people doing it more so than
that's
just
what I'm
like they
trying to
want to have
say.
control over it.
Like, okay, we know ayahuasca you can get from the tree, the mushrooms from the ground. Now, LSD, they say is created, and then some say like they actually can find this out in nature, but who knows? So, what part of it can it be mind control if you're experiencing almost other realms in the sense like you're going through other dimensions? How could it be something that they control when they can't really control your
Wait, here's
experience?
a good example that I heard recently.
Huh.
I can't remember the guy's name, but I had a talk with him, and he's like big into psychedelics and like government programs and research. And he mentioned that there's a few pilot programs in the U.S. military right now in 2024 where they are experimenting with psychedelics for new recruits. Because think about that premise, like the hippie that tries LSD for the first time, or to like, I'm one with everything, man, like me and you are connected and maybe love really is the answer. Well, if you can give your military recruits that same feeling, but now instead of them thinking that they're all one with the entire world, it's like you're all one as a unit, we're all one as a state or as a military, and you can sort of have more control over this weird new mind expanding experience. But you can assign every sort of profound feeling with like, and that applies to the military in this way. So like that undying love and feeling we're all one, you can put that towards your TI, right? Your drill instructor. You're like, now that drill instructor becomes this voice of reason, voice of God, and it helps with assimilation. And I think that that's what MK Ultra and what the CIA was so
What the
fascinated about,
fuck?
is that you can completely change someone's entire perspective. And this is like where brainwashing, that term brainwashing,
Yeah.
was because I think it was the Korean War where these GIs were coming back over, and they were like disavowing their families, disavowing the state, America. They're like, I'm a diehard communist now. I don't care about my family. I just love, the state that had captured me. And they're wondering what the hell were they doing to these guys. And it wasn't just
Wow.
straight up psychedelics. It's basically any way that you can break someone's mind down. A lot of it is just sleep deprivation, which in a weird way brings us back to the Elon Musk promoting these 18-hour workdays.
Oh my god. This is wild. We're living in some wild ass motherfucking times. That's
It
all
would have
I
been
can say.
nice if they gave us mushrooms when we were going through the military, but
But I like mushrooms from time to time.
Seriously, or acid or whatever. It
right.
would've been
Yeah.
I mean,
fine,
like,
yeah.
oh, this isn't
It's
even
like
good.
a
You got
reset.
any more?
MK Ultra me good, man. Like, not this
Yeah.
fucking sleep deprivation bullshit where I'm fucking getting screamed
Yeah.
at all the time.
Give me that window pane government fluff. Come on.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Good
it's
shit.
better to be an NPC and just like oblivious and just, going along with the whole fucking play rather than taking a mushroom and like, oh my God, having a spiritual awakening to like, whoa, this is some otherworldly shit that we live in. Like, I don't know. Why would they want us to have that kind of like mind expansion and ideas?
Because the first time that you feel that, if I've got full control over it, like I can shape your new perspective of reality. Like a lot of the time, at least for me, like when I was experimenting with this, I was kind of like by myself, ate a whole bunch of mushrooms with like pizza in like 6th or 7th grade. And then I'm just like out in the world exploring, trying to make sense of what the hell reality is like breaking down in front of me. But if you're in a military setting and they know that they've given this to you and they know that you're about to go through this weird sort of like eye-opening experience for the first time, now they can just implant all these ideas like it's me that's causing this and I have control over this. I don't know, it's there's old stories from the Hashashin order. I don't know if you ever heard of this before, but the word assassin one of the ideas is it came from Hashashin because they would drug these young kids with all this hashish and they would pass out and they would wake up, and it was like the first time that maybe they felt this particular inebriated state, and they would tell them like, you're in heaven right now, you're talking to God, like that's why you feel so weird, is because you're literally talking to God right now, and God wants you to go and take out this politician, whatever, we're going to send you back out into the world. Now if you already knew what hash felt like, you'd just be like, you're not God, this is just really good hash. You know what I mean? That's the aspect where I think it makes sense that MK Ultra and the CIA and the psychedelic revolution was sort of planned by them. It was more of like they want to be able the ones that say, hey, I'm God, and that's why you're feeling this way.
If you didn't know what was going to go on, there is so much control that can be done. And you even wonder what they let out. And if there is a more magical thing to it, what if I could create a door to a specific realm with each type of LSD that I did, like a portal to a specific place. And so that place would carry a specific kind of energy. And maybe there's things that if they're cut off from whatever source or God or creation, or if they just decide like to do whatever spell, I'm going to live forever, I'm going to lose all, like the same reason they do adrenochrome or take a schizophrenic's blood. I just said a word that'll get us in trouble. Forgot
Dude,
where I was.
Chaney, what if there's okay, this is crazy, but what if there's levels to this shit? What if you're supposed to take certain ones in order? Like first you're supposed to take this, then go to this, then go to that, then go to that, then go to that, to go through the right portals through the right order, maybe?
Sign
And you
me
can
up.
complete the mission.
I'll do it. I'll try it.
Yeah,
Like
like
the very
wouldn't
first
that,
Super Mario board 8-3, where you have to, if otherwise you just keep going back to the beginning every time
yeah.
you go through it. I think it's
Has
8-3.
anyone tested that? Like maybe
Well,
there's
that's kind of what I mean. This all roads lead back to Joe Rogan now, right? Because that's what John C. Lilly was essentially doing. The John C. Lilly was the guy that was working with dolphins and trying to figure out if there was like a psychedelic telepathic connection between all of that. But he would go into these isolation tanks and would basically like if you can put yourself in an isolation tank long enough, you can sort of trip out a little bit. So he would go into these isolation tanks also on all sorts of drugs, and they would try and like recover information from these different dimensions and bring it back. And essentially what they would do is they were trying to find the right amount of sort of psychedelic. I think DMT is one of the many different ones they were trying with, but they would try and keep a constant level so that you were not just like tripping for 7 hours and coming back and tripping for 7 hours and coming back, but you would just like trip for 20 hours and then have like a couple hours to rest and then go right back into it. And even during your downtime, the main point of you coming back and sobering up was just to relay any information that you captured from this like other dimension and then send your ass right back there into doing it. So it was less about the perfect combination of like getting to a certain state. It was just how long can you stay in this other world and how much info can you bring back with you.
I wonder if they can do that with that whole experiment with the laser beam and taking psychedelics. I wonder if they're practicing that same concept of like taking a different psychedelic and actually looking into the laser light and seeing the other dimension of reality through that laser beam. Because people are like seeing the craziest shit, like staring into that laser beam, into that point axis too of the cross, which is fine, freaking fishy, especially in that point. So I wonder if they're doing
What are
that.
they doing? They're staring at laser beams.
Yeah, there's a whole like documentary apparently about like people staring into a laser beam, taking, I think it's DMT or LSD, one of those, or shrooms, and staring into the laser beam and getting messages. Some are seeing like the whole matrix, like fucking digits, and just like fucking keep going and going. Some people are seeing images, some people are seeing other fucking worlds. It's just like, and they're all seeing the same fucking thing, like the similar stories through each person who's experiencing or testing this theory out in this documentary. I forgot what it's called. But it
That's
was
why they don't want you shining lasers at planes. The pilots start tripping out and seeing matrix code everywhere.
but it's like the idea of light, you know? Like light is matter, whether you want to believe it or not, but it is. It's just a lesser dense form of matter. Or maybe it's matter that we don't understand that creates what we are today. I don't know.
I mean,
then
in
there
a
was
weird
light.
way, I don't know how the actual science on this matches up, but I heard this and it sounded cool. But that light is sort of like infinite information all being provided at the exact same time. Just kind of like if you see the color white on like a screen, you're really seeing all colors blasting at the exact same time, and it's up to you to filter out all the colors you don't want to see. It's almost like how cable used to work back in the day, where the cable going to your house would actually give you all the channels, and the cable company would send someone out to put like a filter on there so you didn't get HBO or you didn't get pay-per-view or whatever. And then usually when you would, pay to like get a certain service, you pay to get HBO, they'd send the guy back out and he would remove the HBO filter off your line. So if you were smart or if you knew someone, you could just go out to your line and just drill through it, and it would like eliminate all of those filters, and you could put the coax coupler back on there, and now you've got free cable to all the different channels. I think there's
Allegedly.
I think there's something very similar to that, but like when it comes to light is kind of the same thing. That light is giving you all the information. Like look at fiber optic communication is just using light instead of sending electricity through copper wires. So technically light has all the information that you could possibly need, and it's just all of our like end terminals and our computers are just filtering out just the things that you care about at that one moment in time. But I mean, in a weird kind of like a wacky theory, but if you just like stared at the sun, you could absorb all information that there ever was to know. It's just that we don't have like the biology to be able to process it the same way.
And let there be light. And there was light. And there were two lights.
Yeah, let there be light was actually them just rolling out like new fiber optics throughout the world.
That whole beginning passage of the first chapter, Genesis. It's just wild. It's wild. I love it though. It's a rabbit hole. What else, guys?
I had to shove my mouth.
Oh
with
yeah,
some food.
I needed energy. I was like dying. I'm like, oh.
I ate something too good to eat that fast, but it was delicious.
I'm eating flatbread.
I ate steak tartare.
Ooh, nice.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I could eat it every single day. I love
steak
it.
tartare.
I love it.
It's just raw beef,
Sometimes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I could eat it. Sometimes I can't do the raw meat. I have to be in a vampiric mood, I guess,
I can eat it all the
or in
time.
a Hillary Clinton type of mood.
Just the face, please.
Do you get your steak cooked like well done?
No, medium rare, sometimes medium well, depending how thick the steak is. I don't like it too red. I like it pinky. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yesterday I had more of a redder steak, and it was good, but it's just like I felt the cold parts. And like, oh. But I think my body needed it because I felt so great after that.
That's what I notice when I'm in a huge calorie deficit, because I'm normally like a mid-well person, but like when I'm in a calorie deficit, I want it bloody and I want my eggs runny, which is so weird because I'm not a runny egg person at all, but it just tastes better.
You want the
Yeah.
most amount of protein possible.
It just, I don't know, or it just like the fat feels like it's more there or something, because my fat's usually like lower than sustainable amounts.
I love sashimi steak. I just the higher quality meat, the less you have to cook it. Yep, give it to me raw. And that's all steak tartare is too. And I think it's like a raw quail egg in there, raw steak. It's like a whole bunch of I'm like, if I were a bodybuilder, I'd eat so much of that.
Mustard too, right? Some olive oil.
Mustard, some capers,
Mm-hmm.
diced up onions. I'd eat steak tartare all the time if I was bodybuilding.
You have to watch the fat content in beef though. That's the only problem, because like that's why I eat mostly chicken or really lean ground turkey, because it doesn't have a lot of fat.
Anyone else getting grossed out by chicken?
I can't eat chicken. It's not my fave.
I love
I eat it twice
chicken,
a
but
day.
this
It's not my
chicken is
fave.
not chickening. It's weird. It's so fucking weird. Like chicken breasts are just like different. Like I don't know how to explain it. Maybe some of y'all know, but it's just something's different. It's off. I don't know.
I think that a nice sort of break from chicken, you get these Cornish hens, because they don't necessarily try and turn the Cornish hens into these huge monstrosities that are like 8 times the size that they ever were. Like they're just being themselves. They're just being Cornish hens.
I think I should try that
Little.
because I don't know. So do I. I love fried chicken too. It's my favorite.
I buy the expensive chicken, the stuff that's like, free range and no, like the organic shit. Just because I eat it twice a day, every day, I'm like, I don't want it pumped full of bullshit. So
At what point do you get so hardcore that you like seek out like homesteaders or like an actual farm and make sure that you like know the chicken's name and all that?
When
Because
I
dude,
there's
you can
so many
totally
of
do
those
that
scams
here.
where
You can do
they'll
that
say
with
it's
beef and
strange.
everything. You
Yeah,
can do that
if
with
you guys
everything here.
lived closer to me, I would be like, "Do you want to split a cow
Yeah,
this
that's how it is
season?"
here. It's like,
And we
you want to
all
buy a
just
side of beef?
have and then we all just get like a quarter, like neighbors across the street, and we'll get a quarter of a cow. But then you have it's cheap enough to get a freezer.
It is. And you can decide what they're eating. Like, that's the nice thing. Like, you can buy your beef from whoever you want.
And that's why during hurricanes, there's the best barbecues because everyone's like, shit, I'm going to have to make a decision on that freezer and keeping
Yep.
it on a generator for another day. I need the air conditioner tonight.
Or yeah, it just goes out and now you've like the counter is on. Now I gotta cook all the food that I got in the next 3 hours. Otherwise, it just completely gets thrown out.
And sometimes it's like thousands of dollars of some of the best meat from real hunts all over. And so then they're just like, fuck it. There's no cars running anywhere because a lot of the times during hurricanes, you're under some kind of like curfew. And so they just wheel their big grills out to the middle of the road. And then somebody's like, what? You're cooking meat? I got a whole bag of potatoes. I'll make a potato salad. And then somebody else has some other shit. And because usually everyone's eaten through their hurricane supplies by that point. Everybody has MREs and like, but you're like, do I
Oh my god,
want to eat?
they're so bad. For the longest time, the MRE was kind of interesting because it was like novel and it was like, oh cool, like military. But again, it's just mil stack stuff. It's like, what was the absolute least amount of money the government could spend to make sure you got X amount of calories and X amount of protein? And a lot of times too, people will get like what they call like Mountain House or something. Like they call them MREs, but they're like civilian MREs. And you should definitely probably get civilian MREs and not military MREs, because the actual military MREs are designed so that you don't poop for like a day or two. Like that, like they literally are created to just block your entire system up so that you're not worrying about, like normal bodily functions unless it's bleeding or shooting.
And it is like no joke what you're saying. Like, how many calories can they fit into something like the size of your phone? They're like, we could probably fit 3,000 calories in that. And so it's just some kind of dense thing. They're like, that peanut butter bar. That's what we're going to call it. We'll just put a flavor of peanut in there. And that one's real because they do give you the pack of peanut butter where you're like, ooh, peanut butter from the MRE isn't bad. But some of the shit is nasty. I don't know. You could light a fire with them MRE packets, though. Those little ovens get hot as a biscuit.
I
They
don't
used
think
to
they
come with beer
provide them as much.
and a pack of cigarettes too, like during Vietnam.
Not in our lifetimes.
No, it was Vietnam.
That would be so exciting if you got cigarettes in your MRE. I mean, I don't even smoke anything in the MRE seems exciting. I'm surprised there isn't a Cracker Jack toy.
No, usually you would hit the jackpot. You would get like M&Ms or something.
Yeah. But
That
everyone would
usually
go
be the
through
thing.
them and then we'd trade. Like everyone would be like, okay, you get to pick an MRE. And there were ones that were, this is just after different hurricanes. There was hurricanes that there weren't labeled. And then by like Hurricane Francis and Jean, they all had labels on the outside. So you'd be like, who wants lasagna? Who wants beef stroganoff? And it'd be like something, and then you'd open it up, but there'd be all these other goodies inside, and then you'd trade those. Silly, but MRE life.
It's so horrible. It's so bad.
It's novel, like the first one that you have for each one of the meals, because breakfast is different than, and you're like, okay, this is novel. And then you're like, yeah, it's not great. Anyways,
Brittany Pickle Spears says, "What is MRE?"
meals ready to eat.
It's essentially cat food for people. Like everything in them, you can just open up a package. It can be in a shelf in your closet for 4 years. I don't know how long, but most of them are rated to last like up to 7 years, I think, until they start to really turn. But you could just have them stashed somewhere, and an emergency hits, and now all of a sudden you've got food. You can just pull it off, stick a fork in it, and start eating it. And a lot of them come, like Chaney was saying, they come with these heating elements that's got these sodium plates. So you just fill it up with water, and the sodium reacts to the water and essentially boils. And you stick this little sleeve, and you put your food next to the sleeve so it heats up. Or people will put it on like the hood of a chopper or the hood of their Humvee or the hood of their tank or whatever out in the sun. There's also people that'll like take a video of it. They'll put the MRE like on their engine block and drive around town or something. Like any way you can heat it up, now you got a warm meal.
And it is so interesting. It has little weird cookies in it or weird little French fries. It's like not quite space food, or if you've had that dehydrated food that they always convince us that they have to have in
Well,
space.
some have good quality, depending on where you like look. Some are like really good quality.
What, the meals ready to eat?
Yeah.
Oh
So,
no, we're talking about
civilian version.
military grades. Like when like a storm hits and if you have to wait in a line to get food or ice or something from FEMA, they'll give you the military grade MREs. And
yeah,
everybody that's been in Florida, because they've waited in those lines, hopefully you didn't need all the MREs that the military gave you, so you saved them for future hurricanes. So it was like you had your shutters and your MREs, and everybody had the same few boxes of MREs, which is weird too, that you're like, this food's been in there for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is some way better companies that make some delicious meals ready to eat now. That I even have calorie bars in my bug out kit. It's a block about this big, but it must have 30,000 calories. It's like condensed AF. Like I don't even know what it tastes like, but you just break it and it's like just enough calories for a little square to go on. And
See,
It's
if
like
they
the
started
Jetsons when they take the little pills.
yeah,
if they started putting like cricket and cockroach protein in MREs, I don't think anyone would notice. Like that would be such an easy way to start introducing it into normal life, I guess. Would be like first you give it to the in MREs and you start calling it like mil spec. Like, do you want some mil spec protein? And it's just like cricket legs.
well, I think there actually is a huge conspiracy about whatever gluten that they allow into America, whatever quick drying yeast or quick rising yeast that they allow everyone to bake with, and the cheese conspiracy and the cheese caves and them getting this super amount of like bullshit yellow American government cheese, and then we shouldn't be having that much lactose on everything. And so I just think I think there's proof in a lot of first generation stomachs when coming to America and eating this food. People were talking about it in a chat room today, talking about foreign exchange students coming to Florida, like there being studies, or not Florida, just the United States in general. And they're here for that year. And how they get oily skin or acne or their stomach, they have all these stomach problems, they gain weight, like a crazy amount of weight, and it's like all this, like wherever they're from, the ingredients are
And
way
the
better.
air, and it's something about the air too, like you said, like being on the boat and away from all this like chemtrail shit, and some parts of the world don't experience that yet, like cleaner air, you know?
Yeah. Or food, like really, if you cannot pronounce it, your body doesn't know how to process it. And so
You're
everything,
right.
even like when we were growing up, or even if you looked at the back of Twinkies that your parents used to eat compared to the ingredients in Twinkies now, they're not the same. So it's not
Let's be
even the
fair
bullshit
though. They
food.
also had commercials with people literally putting DDT onto cereal and eating that around the same time that like food was apparently better, right? So I don't know. It seems like there's always been these traces of people just putting like abject poison into their body.
Well, isn't it like some of the things though, like what we always said, the men who built America, and everyone's like, Rothschild and Rockefeller and whatever, but Kellogg's and Post are two of these like big, huge men, and didn't like they create one of them worked in the insane asylum to build the cereal, and the other one
Yeah,
stole it from him
Kellogg's
from the
original
insane asylum.
name before it was called Kellogg's Corn Flakes, it was called like Battle Creek Sanitarium cereal. Like that was the name of the original company before it just adopted the name Kellogg's Corn Flakes. And then the whole premise,
Sanitarium?
yeah, Battle Creek Sanitarium. I believe that was the name of it. Because they were trying. I think the original premise was they were trying to make something that tasted so bland that it would not excite your senses, because they also didn't want people to have sex or even masturbate. So they thought that in this way, if they made all of the food taste so bland that everyone would just be so bored all the time and so understimulated that they wouldn't like turn to sort of like orgone energy. I don't know what the exact formula was there, but that was the basic
Like
premise
saltpeter or
of
something. Like they
well,
won't
like,
be horny
that
from
was another thing
cereal.
in the military. That was the biggest rumor, was that they
It was
had
the
these
eggs.
like these colored liquids that you had to drink, at least in all of the different like training camps I had gone to. And it wasn't necessarily Gatorade or Powerade or anything, but it was like color. You could pick what color you wanted, but you had to, at every meal, you had to drink 3 of these colored liquids.
You
And for the
guys had
longest,
to?
what's that?
You had to?
Yeah, we every single
What?
time they made you drink. You could pick green or yellow or purple or whatever the hell the color was, or orange. But you had to have 3 with every single meal. If you didn't, you got in trouble. Like you were forced to. And the rumor was that they were just giving everyone saltpeter
That's
to make you sort
insane.
of like
The
flaccid the
Navy
entire
didn't do
time.
that. They didn't do that to the guys
Well,
at
the
all.
Navy's
And
gay. They want everyone to be gay in the Navy.
well, supposedly they put it in the eggs. So
Right. I
Well,
don't
I
know if that
think
was actually
In the
true, but
huevos.
I feel like one of them, the Kellogg's or Post guy, he ended up having where they're like, oh, he had such a bad stomach pain, he killed himself. Like,
Mm.
I feel like he ends up, one of them kills himself, but also one of them, the Kellogg's or Post family, they're the ones who built Mar-a-Lago.
Mm.
Like, it was one of theirs that Trump bought
What
it
the
from.
fuck?
I feel like it was the Post family.
Another fun, weird cereal fact too is that the Adurnoderm topic, the number one researcher that actually published pretty much all of what we have now today to base public knowledge on Adurnoderm, but that he's also Dr. Abram Hoffer. He was the originator of biomolecular medicine, I believe. I think that's what it's called. And this is essentially when you see like people fortifying Cheerios, and they'll mash up Cheerios in a bag and they'll put a magnet and they'll pull all the iron out of it. That was him. That was his main brainchild and one of the biggest pushes, and which was also through cereal, because cereal is typically what poor people eat as opposed to what, you know, richer people eat. Rich people will have real protein and like real fresh ingredients, whereas cereal is shelf stable. It's, you know, it's something easy that poor people can keep in the cupboard and just like snack on it. So, but that also would usually imply people having all kinds of weird mineral deficiencies. So they came up with this concept of fortifying food. So now the poor people could still get some of these vitamins and minerals that normally you would get from having a regular diet. But now, since they're just eating like this dead, mashed up grain and cornmeal, that they would also have some sort of access to like what they consider nutrition.
Yeah, remember Total by Post?
Right.
It had like 19
and that's the premise. It's
vitamins and
like, oh,
minerals.
if you can't afford to actually have real food, if you can't afford to put like living material into your body so that it can process it, here's the next best thing is like, we'll take all of the different nutrients from all these foods you can't afford and we'll put them into this nice,
But
cheap,
cereal
affordable,
ain't
shelf
cheap.
stable thing for you.
Cereal ain't cheap though.
Not
One box.
anymore, but it
Yeah.
used to be cheap because you also, if you had fresh food, you would have to also have a refrigerator or a way to have ice. Like, to do that, you would be so rich if you had a way to, like, you got ice delivered to your house. So it would be like cereal, you could just put water on that. Like, we put milk now because we're all Lux. And then there was the whole milk thing with the milk and cheese, which most people like the same as gluten. They're lactose intolerant because everything's fucked up with it. But if they have real milk or real bread, they're usually not intolerant of those things. It's just all the processes that they go through now with
But
America.
if you also compare the price of a bowl of cereal, even now, to having like fresh ham and bacon and fresh eggs and fresh fruit, it's still way cheaper for that cereal, especially since there's no prep work. Like it's still kind of a poor people food,
like a washcloth.
or like grain that you would give, you know, like livestock.
Filler, yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of like cow food, sheep food.
Well, Parmesan cheese, you're on notice, by the way. That pre-shaved shit, that powdery shit, a bunch of it is like
That
sawdust.
plastic. Yeah, that's not real cheese.
Yeah, it's not. You should just grind your
block.
own cheese.
Yes.
Grate your own, not grind.
Don't
grate.
even try. I don't even want that powder shit. Don't even bring that over to my table.
Mm-hmm.
I only want shredded parm
On
or
notice.
grated parm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fake ass plastic yoga mat cheese. Get that out of here.
It's literally fucking wood shavings, bruh. Wood filler.
Yeah,
I just-
parm cheese. Fake parm cheese. You're on notice.
You're on fucking notice, bruh. Giving us wood.
I will cover a slice of pizza with it though.
I wonder.
With salt and pepper and that shit. I will put that on
Oh
pizza.
god. Weird.
What?
Just the shit that they do, like fucking beetles. There's like this red beetle that they get for red dye, and we're fucking eating red beetles. What else? I'm
The
surprised.
artificial strawberry flavoring that comes from what, like a beaver's anus gland or something.
Oh my god.
Vanilla. Isn't that where vanilla comes from? Artificial vanilla is a beaver gland.
Is it? Well, I know
so,
the
yeah.
artificial strawberry for sure.
Oh, I think it's artificial vanilla too.
I think
Fucking
it is too,
beavers.
vanilla.
If a beaver farts by you, you must be like,
Wow.
So good.
Strawberries and
Let's
cream.
eat that shit.
Oh God.
But I could be wrong. We have to have Summer come in and talk about liquids if we're gonna ever talk. She knows where every single expensive liquid on the planet comes from.
Dude,
So,
it's so weird.
but the harder the ingredient is to get, the crazier your cooking spell for a kitchen witch is. So like the best chefs in the world, it's because you could put an onion in yours. They have an onion that's been pickling for 30 days under Italian moonlight. Like it's a whole, like the ingredients are upped or turned up, but it would also be like that if we were kings. Like Thomas would be sitting somewhere and he'd be like, bring me the gland of a beaver's ass. And it would just be like, oh, only a certain king could ask for such a crazy
Dude,
thing.
it
So
is witchy. Like hocus pocus, a dead man's toe, and a fucking da da da. It's all a potion. You're
yeah, you're
right.
saying like, I need to get an octopus tear for my spell.
A beetle, anuses, fucking
Split
eyeballs.
ink.
God,
And
wood
so then,
chips.
or like Soylent Green, where it's like human and McDonald meat. Or they're allowed to, every single thing we eat is allowed to have a certain amount of roach and rat in it. Like per inspection
Like
to still get
sausage.
an A. Yeah, that's allowed. They fall into the machine. We can only help so much. Look how big the machine is.
I
Period.
feel like in sometime in the future that'll actually be the delicacy. Like you would be happy to know that a real animal shit in your Beyond Burger because at least there's something that came from nature somewhere buried deep inside of it, even if it's just like 0.02%.
Dude, we eat fucking hearts. We eat feet. We eat all kinds of shit. We make stews and broths with herbs and spices. It's so witchy, man.
Well, when you
Everyone's a
hunt,
witch.
you always eat the heart and
I don't
liver,
give a
like the
fuck.
day that you
Yeah.
hunt it, usually.
Oh yeah. Everybody's a witch. I don't give a fuck.
Heart tastes good. Liver
Look
is
at,
disgusting.
if shit ever hits the fan, you guys, just so
Mhm.
you know, Johnny can sing every single cereal commercial from the 80s. If we ever need that in our zombie apocalypse team, I think that's definitely good
It
to
would trip.
know. Yeah, you
That's
never
just
know.
straight MK Ultra programming. It's called psychic driving.
We might need to recreate that shit someday, and we'll be like, he'll be the
Our
jingle
Saturday
man in a
morning
new
Who knows
society.
the Big Mac song? We need to figure out how to get back to society.
Yeah, it's perfect. Or it might be used for something different. Like, why don't we use the Big Mac song to get Thomas voted for king?
Mm.
I'm loving it.
Da 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 da. Vote for Thomas.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Thomas for prez.
I did not, some things I didn't see coming. Like, even when they were right in front of me, I'm like, oh, this is so nerdy. This won't catch on. Like that thing Abbie just, Taquero Taco Bell with the Chihuahua, that was
Mhm.
like Lady Gaga for me. I was like, this will never catch on. And
Remember
then,
Spuds McKenzie?
yes,
Do you remember
that
Stick
shows your age.
Strictly?
I know.
My favorite
You
is the
might find my
frogs
age.
for Budweiser. Budweiser. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, the frogs. But
What about
was-
predictions for 2025? Do you guys have any?
It's gonna suck. No, I'm just,
Money,
just
money,
Wait,
kidding.
fucking
money,
badass.
money.
Like celebrity deaths, who do you see
Oh.
dying? My first one that I want to say that I don't know why I was thinking about it driving, and it's a weird one. Penny Marshall is going to
Who-
die in
Who's
2025.
that?
I know, now I
Her
gotta look her
brother's
up.
Gary Marshall. She was Laverne from Laverne and Shirley, and she
Oh.
was the director of League of Their Own with Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell and that whole fucking Tom Hanks of it
Huh.
all. I feel like Penny Marshall
Penny Marshall
is in my death poll.
is next on the list. Okay, check.
But
I don't know
that was
why
a weird
Joe
one.
Biden
Do you think
got her.
Bob Barker will die again in 2025?
Oh my gosh, I think there's a good possibility Bob Barker dies again in 2025.
Ooh,
He's already died 3 times, right?
right? Something like that.
That's doggone.
So is George Soros still kicking?
I thought he
Oh,
died, no?
No, I
No,
think
he's
George
still alive.
Soros is
I think we're
alive.
still waiting on Soros. I
He's
think
still
Soros
alive?
is still in that
Fuck.
weird vending machine meme
I hope he
where like
dies.
death is still trying to pick him. Last time he was like, "Ooh, I got a Rothschild."
But
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
still alive, so
It was
we're
like a
back.
Rockefeller and a Rothschild died, but we still haven't gotten Soros.
Even if Soros dies, it doesn't matter. His son is still alive.
Right?
Do you
He's
think
there's a lineage there.
Whatever.
do you think in 2025 there's anything about Diddy court case being like the new OJ Simpson watch trial that we're all like glued to our TV and J-Lo takes the stand?
There was a whole Reddit saying that P. Diddy died in the fucking jail, but that's a Reddit post.
I
What's
heard
do
he
you
got
guys
oh,
all
go
Oh,
on,
I'm sorry.
Abby, you say it.
The Luigi
We're gonna
thing,
say the same thing.
because the Luigi guy, the whatever insurance guy killer, like his lawyer is married to P. Diddy's lawyer, and now all of a sudden they're gonna put them both in supposedly they're in the same jail, and they're gonna put them on the same floor, possibly the same cell. What the fucking fuck is going on here? This is all
It's such a fucking show. I don't even pay attention.
Are they setting up Luigi to kill Diddy in jail?
maybe that's what it is.
Because they're trying to set him up as like this hero type figure, like because nobody gave a shit about like a big pharma insurance
Yeah.
They found
CEO.
out that he didn't even have that insurance, by the way.
Yeah. He didn't.
This all has to do with fucking Nancy Pelosi and what's the other guy's name for insider trading, and they're being sued by the DOJ and what
Yeah.
else? By all these other companies, and I'm just like, what the fuck is actually going on here? But they're not going to tell you that in the news. They're going to
No.
put Luigi up there. Why? I don't know. Who the fuck is this guy? I don't know. Did he
It's
pull the
almost like
trigger?
Martha
I don't
Stewart.
think so.
It's
Mhm.
like we don't pay attention to the big thing happening, and then they're like, "Here, we're gonna dangle this out in front of you, so the American people will just all focus on this one lady."
I do like that in the near future. Maybe we just get a Luigi and Diddy cooking show, or like a Masked Singer episode that they're both on.
It's just wild.
It is kind of like such a television show.
It is.
And
Soap
it's
opera.
almost like we didn't get a normal like John Benet Ramsey ritual for Christmas this year. Did
Oh,
we?
but there's a
Like,
breakthrough in that case too. All
We
of a
had a
sudden, I
Burning
think.
Man ritual,
They say.
or a burning woman ritual.
That was the
Oh my
fakest shit I
God.
ever seen. She's just standing there, fucking half burnt alive. Like
Well,
that didn't even look
because
real.
her body
I
at
don't
that
know.
point is boiling, and all of her muscles are just basically locked into place.
Can I
I think
say
it's
something
fake.
though? When people sleep on a train, they're fucking knocked out, and there's fucking sickos in fucking New York City. Let me tell you, man, there's fucking sickos in New York City, like beware type of sickos. Like I lived it, I know. And if you're sleeping on the fucking train and you're butt ass fucking tired after a 10-hour shift doing whatever, God knows what, you're sleeping and you're being lit on fire and you have no way to fucking leave that train. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you had nowhere to fucking go. The doors were closed. This fucking guy lights you on fire. Like,
And
there's
the last thing you
psychos out
see are
there.
just people recording you, and then like a cop just like casually walking by.
yeah, like nobody even seemed panic at all. They were just like,
Oh,
Because
what
New
is
York
it?
is
Thursday
fucking.
again?
Oh, the subway systems are nuts, bro. I'm telling you.
I do think we're gonna see shit with the P. Diddy trial. I think we're gonna actually like, all the stuff that we were hoping to see with the Ghislaine and Epstein shit. I think that shit's really gonna go down this time.
you don't think there's any possibility that everything they used to get Diddy was because Ghislaine turned over evidence, and that's why she's in medium security right now?
I do. I absolutely do. That's why I think we're gonna actually see a lot come out of this. I think that the normies who were not awake to any of it at all are about to really fucking
Well,
get a
Kash
dose of
Patel, for
reality.
all intents and purposes, you can find Kash Patel on a lot of same like on a lot of the same podcasts having interviews, and everyone, by everything they list, Thomas saying or me saying or one of you guys saying, he says a lot of the same shit. He's like pretty like conspiracy minded, it's
But also a
seeming. So,
Zionist, no?
well, I don't know. I don't know I don't know what's going on, because it also seems like everything that they want me to focus on is this one part of the world, and that seems to be what all the media will let me focus on. They can get out all the tape in the world, and here's this camp and here's this bomb, and everyone focus on this, but I just don't see how World War III narrative and all the biblical prophecies come to pass unless we keep following along with this narrative.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I don't
Well,
know what any of the story out of that area is. I don't know what any of it is.
well, some of it is being uncovered in where was it? Art down in South America, this whole, I guess, Zionist cult, you want to call it, were abusing children. I believe over 160 children were discovered being abused by these members, and now they're being outed, but they're like retaliating, like with violence against people who are like calling them out. So, yeah, there's that whole fucking shit that just happened with um this weird cult that these people are in, and with like children.
But don't they say that about every fucking religion on the planet? That there's
Yeah,
somebody in that religion that is a weird cult
absolutely.
fucking around with children?
And Afghan, they have the little boys, the little what do they call them? The little girl boys,
Falsettos.
whatever they are. I don't know. They make them dance, and then I guess they have their way with them in Afghanistan and whatever Taliban run countries. It
I
all
mean, might as
stems
well be
from
talking about ancient Greece or Rome too, right? That was usually how you would get like that was how your kid became a lawyer, is that you would just pimp them out to some other lawyer and they would learn everything that they would possibly
yeah.
learn from these
Yeah,
like
pederasty
mentors.
was it. That was
What
the
the
whole,
fuck?
and that's the Bieber to Usher to Diddy. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what of any of the conspiracies, like all of the Zionists run China. All the Zionists run the Catholic Church. What's the Council of Nicaea? Where it's just like everything always is focused on like one part of the story to me all the time. And it seems to be the side that Fox and CNN want me to focus on as well, because
Mm,
it fits the fucking end of times narrative. It
yep.
Yeah.
fits like we're playing red heifer games. And it's like, look at Trump's name's on a coin that Thomas made. That means the end of times. Let's all
Yeah.
reshare.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but who made that coin? It really has nothing to do with nothing.
It's
Like,
like they know how to use the thing that we love, like God, and like, oh, the Bible or the Quran or the Hadiths or the fucking Torah, or not, excuse me,
Religion.
not the effing Torah, but the Torah, but then the Talmud and all these other books that are gonna explain the end times, and this is what's gonna happen. Yo, it's none of some of it is not even it.
or even like Tibetan type
They
purgatory,
use
or
it.
that's what they want us to think, free Tibet with purchase. It was like all a Brad Pitt fucking tale that then we have to believe in this Dalai Lama and this reincarnate and all this fucking bullshit that China owns anyway. They own the
Mhm.
reincarnate. So then he gets to go around and stick his tongues in kids' mouths, and we don't question what goes up way on the hill. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know, dude. All these religions, every single one of them just seem like their own creepy cesspool of ways they can fuck around and like do creepy shit. Like every single one just is like, if we gather the power, whether we're the King of England named Charles and his prince brother Andrew, or whether we're Biden's, or whether we're, pick the BB or pick the House Assad, they're allowed to do
Marxism.
whatever they want. And all humans are the number one commodity.
It's
Like,
Marxism.
am I going to fill my shipping container with cotton, or am I going to fill it with gold? Like, what am I going to get the most money out of? Humans.
That's what a lot of people before used to fight. They fought against this religion, the idea of religion. When it started, it was the beginning of what we call Marxism today. But it's in a different, they use it in a different way, but they still use it as a tool to gather as many minds and pull on your heartstrings, and the God heartstring majorly. Like, oh, this God is going to punish you for this, and God is going to do this, and da 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 da, and you're hellfire this, and what the fuck, y'all? Like, I don't know. It's just, I think there's a different way, and they know it. They hide it, That's why they do the fucked up shit that they do. And not saying that we should be doing the fucked up shit, but if they knew that there was really a hell, they wouldn't be really doing this fucked up shit. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know, but even hell seems like a new invention. It's like
Yeah.
Greece. It's
Yeah.
like we keep finding about all these things, but when you go back to a certain point, it's like, oh, well, this was just put here, like in this amount of time. That doesn't feel like that old now that you say it. Like, when was Greece created?
Yeah.
What are we talking about Grecian gods for ever?
Mhm.
Like,
Hell and heaven are both places on earth, man.
it seems like Greece might
it's all
be
up
like
here.
in line of what's like what came first, the Greece or the Mormons? Like, I don't know. When were the Mormons created, Thomas?
1820s, I believe.
I think the
Yeah.
Mormons might be older than Greece.
Well, think about it here. Oh, we came for religious freedom. And then you had the natives who were here practicing their own religion, but they got fucking their because they weren't practicing Christianity or whatever the fucking religion
That really
was.
wasn't why. They wanted their
But
gold.
yeah, but that
That's what it
too. But
was. Their
that
resources.
that too, they conditioned their children, they put them into schools and a lot of like getting rid of their identities. It's all part of that. It's all part of that system. It's like a new conditioning. Everybody wearing the same clothes now instead of their traditional clothes. Removing of identities.
Well, they come in and they're like, oh, I got some rednecks on this side and I got some transgender over here. What can I do? I'm going to put a flaming symbol in the sky, and all the rednecks are going to think it looks like plaid, like their shirts. And all of these ones, they're all going to think it looks like the dye they have in their hair. And with this flaming symbol, they'll both see what they want to see. And that's how I'll become the king of all of them.
Religion. Yep.
Yeah, and if like I sometimes think about like my God, like why don't we wear our traditional clothing? Like especially like women, our traditional clothing in our culture looks so goddess like and so princess like and feeling so feminine and like pretty and you just feel different when you put these clothes on. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you feel more like a queen. And we're in this idea of like, oh, fashion and this is in, but it's like all a copycat version of everybody else instead of sticking with your identity. Imagine every woman walking around like a beautiful goddess in their traditional clothing and just be like, wow. But we
I
don't.
don't know, but I feel like I like being able to wear whatever I want, not what my king
True.
tells me I have to wear. And I don't
True.
mean like metaphorical king in my house, like my king, my man. I mean like an actual king telling me I have to wear a certain clothes or a color, or I'm not allowed to wear a color because only royals can wear that color.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't want that either. I'm saying like, like cute goddess clothes. That's what they were.
a lot of stuff from your culture seems like handmade,
Mm-hmm.
like real stuff, but it also seems like those are trades that people could say it about their forefathers just in America, like trades, like craftsmanship of building a table, like
Yeah.
something so different, building clothes, like having those are what they kind of want to take from all of us and convince us that the plastic shit we get from Shein and Temu is comparable.
Yeah.
Whereas
Right.
something that your great grandmother made by hand, you could pass it down to your kids still. But the plastic shit I got from Shein, I can't even get it through one wash cycle.
No. So sad. What the fuck?
But it's kind of like, oh, we're just in a
Just
disposable society.
yeah, or everything just erasable. It
But maybe they
disappears.
want it to be. It's the part of I bring it up all the time. Marie Kondo on Netflix, like part of the Netflix psyop, is her coming on and being like, if it doesn't bring you immediate joy, throw it away. And so she convinced all these people in the middle of fucking lockdowns that were staring in their cell to throw away shit that didn't bring them immediate joy. When most of the shit you have in your life that's really sentimental doesn't bring you immediate joy. It's like sentimental. It might even bring you heartache for a minute because it was your dad's something or your grandfather's something, and because you miss them. But it's not because, oh, it doesn't bring you immediate joy, dump it. And so it's like they kind of made us get rid of everything in our lives that actually had any character, any authenticity, any blood, sweat, or tears in it. And we all have IKEA. We all have Shein, Temu bullshit, plastic, squares, and brutality, where craftsmanship that used to be built by people, it was detailed.
I
Dude,
do love
we
That
Shein though,
one,
because I get like my my swimsuits through them for like $7, and a practice suit, a thong bikini, usually costs like $90. So
honestly,
Shein
$1 million
is big.
idea.
point where like
$7.
Let's open a weightlifting bikini store and we'll sell it
Seriously,
for
like
half the
sew 'em
price.
if you can sew and you like to
No, no,
bedazzle
no.
shit,
We'll
these
just
women make
buy.
a ton of money.
We'll just order it right from Shein. We'll just mark it up times 10, and it'll still be cheaper than
Yeah.
whatever they're doing. And then we'll just put a cute label on it, and they can get 2 for 1.
Period. Yeah, there you go. That's a great idea.
And we have our own
I'm
drop ship
telling you,
company
like
of
my first
bikinis.
suits were like $90 each, and then I found Shein, and I was
And
like,
it'd be easy to get sizes because it's not like you have to deal with a whole bunch of sizes. Bodybuilding ladies are bodybuilding lady sizes.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You
They're not
know,
gonna have large
also
and extra
Thomas is
large.
writing it down on our board. I saw him. He's like, "Oh, this is a great
Oh,
idea. We make our millions with weightlifting."
not just I
new
also
segment.
wanted to add
a new
not just
segment.
with clothes though, Chaney. We also talked about like how they create, this type of housing that we use now. And we actually talked about this at my workplace with a customer. And like, what do you think is going on? Because all these houses are getting mold. I was like, you know what it is? It's the fucking sheetrock. Because there's no more craftsmanship. There's no more like actual like stonework and plaster work and actual woodwork, breathable material. We have fucking sheetrock that captures moisture. And then all of a sudden, people are experiencing mold in their house and getting sick. And everyone's like, what's going on? What's going on? Is it the insulation? No, it's your fucking sheetrock.
Sheetrock.
Yeah, on notice. I'm telling you, it's the sheetrock, man. And
take
I've
a
seen
shot,
enough
Aries.
with my dad, like in his projects and working on buildings and picking them up and seeing when he tears shit down with demolition, the type of fucking filth on these sheetrock materials, it's crazy and mind blowing. And I 100%
More like
believe
shit rock, am I right?
it is sheetrock. It is sheetrock. And that's what they call Albanians call it shit
No,
rock.
you're right. If you look around whatever state you're in, my state specifically, if you look around Florida, the houses that are 150 years old, they're just made with local wood off the ground and they last forever. It's like all these building codes, the same as the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, whatever your state is, had some cocksucker that only wanted you to buy his thing. And so they worked their way all the way through. And that's how the building codes are in your place. And it's not necessarily the best. And so every single one of our natural ingredients out of our country has all been shipped to China and it's all been cut for us like cheap fentanyl. They send it back to us. And so we have all these roofs in Florida that are stainless steel, but it's not American steel. It's from China, but it's so much cheaper, but it says stainless. So we just move on. Well, it's all cut with things. So it's all rusting and stainless steel doesn't rust.
No.
So, so it's just like building codes are bullshit. And sheetrock is not the best thing. You wonder all the stuff they have going on. You have wood shipped in from a state that's not your state, and you're wondering why that your house can't handle the elements for a long period of time without constantly having to get shit redone to it. Or you have, your kids are sick all the time. People are sick because inside their houses are sick.
Carpet too.
Yep. Carpet, fiberglass. Fiberglass. We're putting
How many
fiberglass
filters?
in our walls. That's wild.
In our tampons, but that's for a different show.
Well, mattresses too.
Hey, that's a Sunday show.
You keep those tampons and you keep them to yourself. Your fiberglass tampons, ladies. Whatever blood
Buy
magic you guys
organic
are up to.
cotton. Come on.
I don't know. It does seem crazy that, of course, it'd be easier for them to make some second-rate cement. And that's what you were saying with craftsmanship. When I talk to any of my friends who still live in Europe, like they have no intentions of ever going anywhere. They're from different countries and that's where they live. Even the way they mix cement is so different. Like than we mix cement here, that it lasts forever. When they mix cement, when they build something, it will be in a field forever. Like everything like we don't have any know-how. We were just like, oh, let me take this bag and I add water. They know certain ingredients to mix in and certain things that make it's different
Types
grasses
of
and hemp
sand.
and sand and it makes this brick way stronger than anything that they're pouring on our roads or anything. They have the capability of doing things that last longer, but it's like the Edison bulb. There's
Yeah,
no
they
money to be made
build
if it lasts
everything with
forever.
cinder blocks, number one. And no fucking wood. They're like, wood? You build your houses with fucking wood? Like, why? And I understand, like, it makes so much more sense to build with fucking cement and like breathable material and brick. And like, why? You don't need insulation when you're building that way at all because everything is sealed.
Oh my gosh, insulation.
Uh-huh.
Just sheets of fiberglass.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you went into an attic as a kid and you were like, what is this cotton candy land? I must roll in it. And
Oh,
then you were
I played with
Yes.
it all the time.
you were like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then
Especially when it was
afterward, you're
pink.
like, I am so
I
ungodly
can't breathe.
itchy. What is
Mhm.
happening? Like,
Uh-huh.
The old skateboards, I think from like the 70s, 60s and 70s, the grip tape, that used to be fiberglass. I remember like getting my hands all cut up because I would like rub my hand on the top of like an old skateboard. So like it was just
Holy
like everything was made to kill us back then.
We came back from like this camping trip one time and we stopped in this ghost town because Nevada has quite a few ghost towns and stuff, but it had like old playground equipment with like animals that were swings. Like, so you'd sit on top of like the horse or whatever, and it was a swing set. And holy shit, like those were made out of fiberglass. I was crying the whole way home because the inner part of my thighs and my crotch were like filled with fiberglass.
ouch.
It was horrible.
fire crotch.
Yep, for real.
One time I accidentally shot a girl. Well, I didn't. I aimed the firework at her. We had like smaller bottle rockets and we were just holding them in our hands and then like shooting them at each other like
Yeah,
assholes.
like
But
everyone does.
and everybody else was running
I've never
like
done that.
normally, like, we're running. She just sat on the ground and balled up. And so it was like, phew, right? And it was
Made
like,
it extra easy.
yeah, no, like it was too late. She just went to the ground. Like she, instead of running, she just went to the ground and balled up right where, and so it like right between her pants went right in her crotch. And so and she had like white jeans on. It didn't even blow through her jeans. That's how little of fireworks they were. They weren't like full bottle rockets. They were the
Yeah.
little, they were still bottle
Yeah.
rockets. They were just small. And but it made her nickname that, I think, for the rest of school.
Oh, bottle rocket,
Fire crotch.
fire
And
crotch.
everyone's like, I don't get it. She doesn't even have red hair. Like,
You had
it
to
was
be
a-
there.
yeah, you had to be there. Sorry. It was one of my dick moments. It was before I learned about not horse playing, but that's for another time. I don't know. Do you think any of the stuff that's going on X is all coordinated, like water testing, to see like how the American people are going to feel about these next stages of the NWO?
Like, what do you mean?
You
Because I've been
know,
off the radar a little bit.
well, everything we were talking about with what's the bill, Thomas? H1B. What is
Oh
it?
well, no, what visas. I don't know what the.
Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty much what the whole tweet and everything. And it's been this like, hey, Elon says he's American first and he wants all these other people to come in and take jobs. Like, we need jobs. Like,
Mhm.
we'll take in. Then people are like, hey, like, Americans are too lazy and not smart enough to do these jobs.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
They've
Like,
become lazy. They become whiny too. I don't want to work. And we don't, but like,
I don't want to work 18 hours a day.
who wants to work? Seriously.
I just want to work 4 days a week.
Like, I just want to make
Every
money and
weekend should
trade.
be a
And
3-day
like
weekend.
not work. That would be nice.
But this is why Mahmoud's going to take your job.
Donate Bitcoin to God built angel. Hey, you never know. Isn't that the saying? You never know.
you never know. You might get some piss coin.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, that too. Surprise.
Whoever gave me piss coin, thank you. That was random.
You think it's from here?
I don't know because you and I both got it. I don't know where it's
I
from.
didn't.
Layla didn't get it.
Someone randomly gave Chaney and I both piss coin.
Uh-huh.
And it did a funny thing because it was an account that they locked all the liquidity on, so you could never take anything out of the account. It was just it made my wallet at one point go up to almost $200,000, but you couldn't take it out. It was just like a facade.
You tried
And
to take it out, and what would
well,
say?
I had it long enough on my screen that it made me laugh that I got a screenshot to send to you guys to be like, look at this isn't real. That's why I even started it. This isn't real
I'm a
because
piss billionaire.
and wouldn't that be some shit if I became a piss millionaire?
It would be. I made 27 cents though. I sold mine before you had the like $100,000 spike on yours.
Yeah, that was pretty. It was just cool. I like
Pissed
just
it
getting the
away.
screenshot in my wallet. I'm like, this is good for manifestation. I picture that to happen one day. You
Fuck
get
yeah.
some crazy coin. If I was a Bitcoin millionaire, some of these people and the wallet that sent it to Layla and I, Abbie and I had $9 million in it. And so it's just like, that's just one of the wallets that they're playing with. It didn't have all their coin in it. That's just where they sent us piss coin from. So it's just like $9 million just chilling in this wallet. And is it not real? You're like, I'm bored. I'm gonna send people piss coin.
Just for fun.
That's what I thought. It had to be like Chaney or Layla, except that the increment is wrong because we send each other a
That-
specific
Oh.
amount.
I thought you were gonna let it
Yeah,
out.
don't.
No, I wasn't gonna. I'm not saying that
Well, you never know. You never know.
because
I'm
we
like,
can't
"Don't
have
say it."
somebody break the system by telling them.
No,
No.
because then you'll be buying piss coin.
Yep.
You'll be buying Mossad pagers, thinking Layla sent you Mossad pagers.
I wouldn't send anybody that. I'll let you know if I'm sending something first and foremost.
I don't let you guys know when I send you things.
Yeah, I saw. I was like, "What the fuck? Where did this come from?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Chaney."
Yeah, because I'll send always the increment amount.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah. What else is happening this week? I just do you have any predictions? Do you guys want to make any predictions? Because we weren't going to be here before the new year.
Mm,
I
don't
just killed
I don't do
Penny Marshall.
predictions usually.
yeah,
I like to
don't know.
like sit back in the rafters and see what actually happens and just
What do you
like
think?
formulate.
Do you think we're going to get to like an inauguration on normal
That's what I was
January
just gonna
20th?
ask.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
What about that, Thomas? You think that goes through just like without a hitch, everything's normal?
I mean, define normal. I don't even know what that means anymore. I think
Yeah,
that-
like it
that-
just looks like
well,
Biden's. where
Trump is mainstream now, so I don't think that there's going to be any shakeup in that regard. But there definitely seems to be some people literally gunning for him, so that's always going to be an option. I think that like any day we wake up and it's like there was another attempt on Trump's life, I almost feel that that could become like a new normal.
Probably.
where it's like a new country, Iran, where they like turn it up. It's Syria, it's Iran, it's China, it's Russia.
I wonder how many times he'll allow it to go on before he's like, all right, no more guns. Like, because I feel that you would need someone that was voted in to protect the things that you want protected. That's the person that would be the one to get rid of them, right? Like if Biden tries to get rid of all of guns, then it becomes this whole thing. But if Trump tries to get rid of it, you'll literally have people like, yeah, but I mean, look at how many times he had these close cases with death. So, maybe he has got a point here. Like, I think you need the opposition to pass the things that they seem completely, in opposition to.
Do you think any other mergers happen? Like, do you think mainstream media is kind of a wreck? Like they have kind of lost it. Do you think we see any television mergers where X just becomes a bigger conglomerate? Like it makes its WeGo moves, so it starts becoming the everything app that it's eventually going to become. So does it take over? Does Elon buy television stations, newspapers, do all this shit? Or does he just eventually create his own and they all just wither away? Like it just seems like good publicity sometimes. Like he could have created his own social media app. He wanted Twitter,
I don't know if he
or so the
could.
move is.
That honestly, I don't know if Elon necessarily has ever been known for the guy that creates the things. He's the guy that
He's
buys
not,
the
yeah.
things.
He is.
So which makes it all the more ironic that like he's got some sort of an opinion on like the American work. He's not an American, and he's not necessarily working class. He's the guy that comes in and like does a hostile takeover and buys your company and fires everyone in it that made it the company that it was, and then puts his name on it and says, I did this. Like pretty much every single company that he had, right? PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, Starlink, like all of these things are just things that he just kind of purchased.
I needed to give this person some attention.
Give him
They
some
don't-
Bitcoin.
They
I
don't get
just
enough
love-
attention
I
in their
just
life.
love it. I love
just-
it.
It's okay. They had to write so many times. So
Yeah.
I'm like, here.
And
You
I'll
want
have to-
attention? Here you go.
Here you
Did your
go.
dick get hard? Good for you.
I got what?
You feel good? Wonderful.
Good. That's good magic
Did
today.
you let it out? Nice. Nice.
I
Which
got-
hand did you use, motherfucker?
That's bang muck.
Okay. Left or right hand?
Yeah, I don't know. It always.
Don't we
I
have
always.
moderators in here?
Yeah, maybe. I always feel like they. I don't even care. I always feel like it's through a translator app where I'm like, is China mad at me again?
Well, they just called us IDOTs, so
Yeah. So I
IDOTs.
always wonder, like, is this
What
through?
country are you from?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, man. Big up yourself.
you're entertaining us.
I love it.
I know. But so yeah, you don't have any predictions about nothing?
I wish I was an oracle sometimes. I don't know what this government has planned for us, but just stay tuned for a wonderful show. But just don't be black-pilled. Everything's gonna be all right. Invest in some XRP. Do that for yourself. Put a little $100 here, $100 there when you can. Don't kill yourself. You know, it'll end up being a pretty good amount one day. Just leave it there. That's it. And look forward to greater things. That's
Don't
my
forget your
prediction.
password.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hide it somewhere.
In real life, not
For
somewhere
reals.
digital.
For reals, for reals.
That is such a weird new fear. Is like, oh my gosh, all these wallets all have their own passcode. I have to put these somewhere. I don't want them all together necessarily. It's almost like you need a safe in your house now just for your passcodes
Yeah.
because you're holding just this cash in there.
Well, also,
And
what
you're-
happens when grandpa is a Bitcoin billionaire, but he develops dementia, and now no one has access to any of the assets? Like, that's going to be something that we're going to see happen in our lifetimes easily.
Oh yeah, and there's people that they memorize their key code, like they have it memorized. They're like crazy like that, and they're like, "I'll be good forever." Steel trap. Then you're like, "Grandpa, what's your
Right.
passcode?"
Or what if that one gets compromised, and now you got to remember a new one, right? Like, it's always going to be this weird game.
But then do you get enough money in there eventually that I'm like, "Oh, can I just get a microchip put in me so they know it's my
Right.
passcode?" Like, how much is it eventually worth?
Yeah, you almost have to let the digital coins be part of a trust or something.
That's what
Managed
I
by
feel
who,
like the
though?
digital currency is all walking into. It's like a
Yeah.
slow walk of it becoming so valuable that then what's it worth to you?
It does seem like a new world order dream to be able to literally wipe out somebody's entire financial blueprint by just eradicating their wallet or compromising it or just knocking it out of their memory or just some way, just so much easier because there's no real assets forfeiture that you would have to
Yeah.
go and like repossess or sabotage or send arsonists or anything. It just if you were gonna be, set up some system in which you could just destroy your your opponent's wealth, it does seem that if they put everything into a digital currency, it would be one of the easier ways to just completely wipe them off the planet.
Yeah, it would be so if gold is the value, how hard is it to acquire all the gold and then have enough space to hold the gold and then all the thing and then but if it's digital currency, it seems like a little easier to gather all the energy if that's the thing that people consider
We're gonna
valuable.
see this all. These aren't even hypotheticals. Like all of these things are gonna happen, I think. I mean, these are predictions, not for the year, but we're gonna see all of these
For the
shortcomings
future.
and then what the government answers are gonna be to all of these, because never let a good tragedy go to waste, right? So whenever there's some massive Mount Gox style, crumble or some huge sort of infiltration or compromise of like one of these large networks, so let's say Coinbase gets hacked or something crazy, right? I think that that's going to be when the government swoops in and says, aha, this is why you need us. And we've got the perfect plan for you. And there will be, just like, the billionaires out there that it's like, okay, maybe I will get chipped. Maybe this is the only way that I can really protect myself. But that'll be such an easy sell. There'll be like a Bitcoin 9/11 of some kind, and they'll pass like a Bitcoin Patriot Act. So there you go. There's my prediction.
Well, my prediction or like lack thereof is that Bitcoin's not going to hit 128,000 on 128. I just don't think that's happening.
Do you think like the same way you said Elon, why would he start his own social media site? He wanted to buy Twitter. Why would a country want to start their own cryptocurrency? Why wouldn't they just buy all of one?
Yeah.
Like
because anyone can make their own cryptocurrency now, right? Like you've made a few of your own coins already.
But then it's powered by something. Like, does the United States want its coin powered by Bitcoin? Because then all of a sudden, all the volume it's doing is for that. Or then they make their own USD, crypto version. But it's just like the same. What's running that? Is that the best technology? So I just
this has come up with my friend Alex Fulton on Think Tank. He also goes by Crypto Kubrology, but he makes a really good point on this topic because I bring it up like, what about ERC20 tokens or like Ethereum, where it has like actual purpose, like you can put smart contract, like it has functionality, versus Bitcoin, which is just a thing. And his really good argument on this is that Bitcoin does one thing really well, and that's all it does. And it doesn't try and be this weird Swiss Army knife that, tries to have smart contracts and like special programming built in. You can make little like crypto kitty sort of like what were like the crypto, I think they're called crypto kitties, like the little cats that you would make out of NFTs and stuff. But that Bitcoin just focusing on one thing might be its strength. And that's the same thing I would think in some of these like government digital currencies, is they don't need it to have any actual function. Just like the fiat currency we have now doesn't have any actual value to it. It's literally just a placeholder to force someone to give back to you to enforce tax. So I think that's exactly how it's going to continue to be, especially even after the government adopts it.
I don't think so. Not Bitcoin. That's just a test run. Their technology is like old internet. This new technology with these new coins, they're like backed by things. So that's like the future. Like they're all adapting to this one idea. And Bitcoin, I feel like it's like the trial run to see how this crypto world would look. But
I don't disagree with that. I think you're right, but I think the next step too is that once Bitcoin gets phased out, once there's something new to replace it because it's got all these new bells and whistles, at that point cryptocurrency will just be for computers to talk to each other and to spend money with each other. And at that point humans will almost be completely out of the loop. Like we won't be buying that new currency anymore. We won't be fast enough to like interact with that market. It's going to be traveling at the speed of electrons, essentially.
Isn't that so wild to think about too? It's like the closer we get to the digital age, you are eventually competing with algorithms in a game they created. And like they're computers. So there can be 4,000 things jamming up your one trade that's all from one single stroke.
Essentially just DDoS at that. And this is also going to be the next evolution of tip culture. Because anyone that's ever traded like Ethereum or ERC20 tokens or dealt with like gas fees, right? You can pay extra for your gas fees to make sure that your transaction gets part of that next block of transactions. And if you don't give it enough gas, it kind of just like sits in this waiting hall. It's almost like doing like an Instacart or like an Uber Eats where like you list your tip's going to be like 4 cents or something. It just sits in this no man's land until someone desperate enough grabs it and delivers it and takes that crappy tip you're going to give them. That's kind of how gas works in Ethereum network. But that's kind of this new tipping culture where now it's like, I'm gonna pay this, I'm gonna tip you $20 to make sure you actually bring me the thing that I just ordered from you. Because if I don't, I might just be sitting here forever waiting for you to bring it. And that's a very real iteration of that into this digital world.
I know. It does seem like commodity backed has to be everything with the next stage of digital currency.
Like what happens, for example, if you take that same concept and you're like, well, I'm willing to spend $6 a gallon of gas if it means that I get to pump my gas before you get to pump your gas. And then it almost turns into a game of like, how much money would someone be like, imagine even when like the hurricanes come through, Florida has laws where they're not allowed to inflate the cost of gas over a certain, like, I forgot what they call these laws,
gouging laws or something.
yeah, or like scalping laws or something. But imagine a world though where that was the norm, is that when you went to get gas, whoever was willing to spend the most for it got to fill up. So if there was a line, you're like, I'll pay $20 a gallon. Now all of a sudden, bam, you're in front of the line. Or more realistically, the little drone gas, bot would like fly next to your car and fill you up first. I think that like that's probably a next iteration of all this too, especially when it's all just like crypto based.
And you're bidding on things. So then if everything's coming in your Uber or you're leaving in your Uber, or your Tesla car is driving for itself, because probably before 2030, I imagine the entirety of the Uber idea will be taken over by driverless cars.
Waymos, right? Donut talks about those all the time, and they've got them in Phoenix or Scottsdale or something. But a bunch of cities have these Waymos, which are just these self-driving cars that you pop into. And he goes on this tangent that I can't even try and like paraphrase, but essentially that these Waymos are making money. Like someone bought this car and they fitted it with all this auto driving stuff, and it takes on clients and it charges you and it drives around. And at a certain point, that Waymo will become profitable. It'll no longer be a thing that costs money, and now it's just generating money. And if Waymos get smart enough, after they earn enough money, they could themselves buy another Waymo. And like now all of a sudden the automated cars are setting up these automated fleets that are just generating cash for them. So you might buy a Waymo, and then once the Waymo breaks even, it buys itself a Waymo, and then it breaks even, and that Waymo buys itself a Waymo. Like it's Waymos all the way down.
The Waymo scheme. But that's kind of where it's like, if everything's driverless eventually, you're pretty much putting train rails everywhere. It's like they can get anything from anywhere, like a computer system running. I don't know. It's crazy the amount of free time taken from us that will presumably get back, but that free time is being filled now with like Candy Crush and Plants vs. Zombies and scrolling X, or constantly on every social media app, or constantly having to like, nobody can like even keep an attention span in conversation or on a podcast without playing on their phone.
My son's texting me, asking if he can stay up longer, and I'm like,
I do it too sometimes. I'm guilty.
Like, how hard is it to like poop without a cell phone now?
Yeah, so it's
oh my
just like,
gosh, right?
we're in like a state of the world though that it's like everybody's getting this massive amount of free time back, but then to fill it with what? So then it seems like this idea of boredom, where every generation you go back, that's a more ridiculous word to say. Like if you were 200 years ago and you were like, I'm bored, they'd be like, get off your dead ass and go farm for the family.
Go
When
outside.
this is when kids
You're
would
bored? I'll
literally
find you
like
something to do.
you'd spend 2 hours pushing a hoop with a stick down a dirt road, and that was better than Game Boy.
Yeah, it's just like we've become this everything's so fast, so many lights, so many colors, so many things. And it's you know, so you can sit on the train now and what are you filling that with? Because it's bringing you from point A to point B. You don't have to drive for yourself. So now it's filled with the Plant vs. Zombie. But those drives and those things those would be the times that you'd be like, oh my gosh, I have this idea. But they're all going to be filled with, we're going to be taken out of flow state or something.
Yeah.
So there was this chart done about like time and like how we spend it and online and whatnot. And I think it was like a 75 or 100-year span of like how people like lived lives and like time with family, time with friends, time doing sports or time in school and time in this and time in that. And family was number one. And as time went, it went from family to friends, from friends to family. And then it went from friends to family to like friends to school to family. And then internet came, like all this like graph changing, like family went all the way like down towards the middle of the bottom, and online just went all the way up. And like how much time we put into the internet world is mind blowing. Like how
You
the
know what? I had
chart.
to think about that because I saw that and I
Mhm,
agree with what it's saying, but
mhm,
how much of the time spent with friends is online? How much of the time like with family is online? Like you do
yeah.
still interact with those things online. Most of my friends are online. So
Yeah, but it's different online versus being real in real time, you know? Like the
it
only
is, but I
times
mean,
it's like how the conditioning of everything changes, like, oh, family is like, ah, whatever. It's not important anymore. Like your goals are more important than spending time with your family, working this job and blah blah blah, and spending more time with your family. And then we have our traumas, why we hate our parents because they didn't want to pay attention to us, but they have a standard in society. If you don't reach your goal, you're a failure, and all these fucking conditions. And it's just like mental chaos when you think about it. So I don't know. What is important is a question for everybody. And that's a personal question for everybody. Is it time?
And like being online, like if your friends are online, it's
Yeah.
one thing if you're spending time with your actual friends in an online setting.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a whole nother thing to be scrolling some app aimlessly because you happen to know a
yeah,
couple of the people on it and say you're hanging
that's
out
not
with
the
your
same.
friends.
That's not
Yeah.
It's like that's kind of like the idea of how we get that, oh, I thumbs up your picture. That means I just hung out with my sister and her kids because
Yeah.
I thumbed just no, that's not the same.
no.
But it's equivalent.
This.
Like it's like,
Happens to
hey,
accomplish
this is
same
the same
things.
amount of dopamine it gave you thinking you showed up. But really there's no time, like everybody's just aimlessly scrolling, but everybody's algorithm, we all think, and my new thing is like we think our algorithm, we built it, but I think we gave it all the information to build the algorithm. Now the algorithm has a goal with us. And
Yeah.
so it wants to get us to start seeing and being and doing something. And it's not the thing, oh, Chaney's going to spend the most amount of time loving or hating this. Let's show her this thing. I think the same way as TikTok has an app to make all your kids pot eaters. I think, it's like a real thing where in China, it's teaching them how to be like more tactful and more, creative and more like they're getting all these things to like up their level. I think all of our personal algorithms is trying to get us to do something more than just it's trying to guide a new way we're thinking or dissect a way we're thinking but it has a goal that I do think is nefarious. I don't think it's trying to make like the best version of Chaney. It's not helping me do that. It's like here,
I feel you on that.
yeah, I don't know. I just when I look into all the pictures that I'm like, I never even spend time on this app. And when I'm on this app, I only see these 4 people. And then
Mhm.
I'm off this app. But if I go over to the reels of like if I were to just play and let Instagram feed me in my MK Ultra state watching acid, um, it would be quite a wild experience that I'm like, what is this? What is this nonsense that's trying to get me to like you'd think it'd just be like conspiracy after conspiracy if it's really based on the shit I'm looking up, looking into, but it's not trying to get me to do that.
Mm-mm.
There
So
was I can't remember the full thing, and it's worth looking up for anyone that hasn't seen this before. But if you look up a talk from Terence McKenna called "Culture Is Not Your Friend," it constantly plays back in my mind whenever certain things, and like social media is one of those examples. And when he talked about culture, you can apply it to like social media. But the premise, I'll try my best to paraphrase it, was that people get so convinced that like culture is this cool thing that they can use to share with other people and build these networks and friendships over. But culture ultimately is not your friend, because all it does is it tries to commodify you. It tries to put a really convenient label on you, not for your benefit, but for the rest of the world's benefit. So it knows what product to sell you, what, flavor of soda you might be easily marketed to, what kind of shoes you might want to wear. That's essentially what culture boils down to. And I think that's the same thing when you talk about like social media and like interacting with people, and like all of that is the original promise, I think, was that you feed these algorithms all your favorite music and movies, and at some point it's going to be like, here's the perfect thing, like this checks all the boxes for you. That's the whole reason that you want to tell it what your favorite color is and what Game of Thrones character you are, is that eventually it's going to suggest you like the dopest, coolest thing that only the algorithm would ever know, because it knows all your weird kind of fascinations. But really, all it's doing is it's categorizing your behavior and saying, what's the thing that I can sell you? Like what is the most likely chance that you'll buy this album that I push in front of you, or this product? And it has nothing to do with your taste. It has everything to do with how convenient you're making it to like other things to market to you. I don't know. It's well worth looking up if you've never seen that. Terence McKenna, Culture Is Not Your Friend. I think it applies here perfectly.
I was just thinking that it's so crazy to me how since we've been doing this show, which hasn't been that long, 60 something episodes, so a little over a year and a half, whatever, AI has learned, or at least they're showing us that AI has learned how to make perfect human hands.
Yeah.
But compared to just when we started the show, all the hands that it would pull up, everything was like lobster claws, and how much of that is fake, of them being like, look at AI's learning this with the help of you guys.
Yeah, pretty much. Because they already have like a perfected AI like already set up. Like think of like 20 years in advance AI, or 30 years. They have a whole fucking spreadsheet of inventions ready to lay out. Pop, 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 pop.
Something, and when I felt like, oh my gosh, I feel like we've had this conversation, like real things are happening to me in my life of like the past couple of days where I'm like, oh my gosh. And when Thomas said that Elon's the type of troll, like the type of person always to be like, haha, that was all AI the whole time. When you look up those Tesla robots, even how they walk and stuff, and we're like, oh, that's Joe Biden, it could very well be Elon everywhere. Even I feel like the jump on stage with Trump, like to me, they showed us those robots, those Boston Dynamics robots, like mink. And that's what I felt like we watched Elon. Mink. It just feels like it would not be far-fetched to me when we're waiting. Like part of it feels like it should be a game, like a 5D chess. And on one side, it's technology. Like we have this robot Terminator. On the other side, we have Predator, this alien, this like thing. And then there's like this religious monster sitting at the same table. And it's like, what end are we going to get? What's our demise? Like choose your character here. Is it going to be a religious, like end of times? Is it going to be our technical overlords where we're all Skynet, or is it going to be an alien invasion? But it's one of the three.
Well, Chaney, you
Don't
bring it
forget the
up.
zombie apocalypse.
Well, you brought it up, and there's this thing on TikTok of these people recording something in the trees that are breaking off limbs, and I mean huge limbs, and jumping from branches to
In
branches.
South Carolina, where the monkeys escaped.
Dude, maybe it's that. I don't know, but like it's trending now on fucking TikTok, and they don't know what the fuck it is. Some are saying aliens, some zoom in into these whatever they catch in the glimpse of the frame, and it looks like a light morphe thing. I don't fucking know. It's just very odd. It's just
What?
so odd. It is so weird. It is so odd. Like you see these branches falling, you see the branches moving, and you're just like, what is going on? And it's at night, and I don't know. This is
Leprechauns.
unexplainable. It's weird.
Chupacabra.
It's the
There's,
or the
there's leprechauns
fairies
in the tree.
or the fae.
Do you think? I don't know. Do you what are your thoughts on Mel Gibson and like even signs like, oh, you guys will still have your religion and stuff, but there are aliens.
I don't know. I think they're. I don't believe it.
Even through
I can't.
portals.
Aliens invalidate any religions?
I don't know, that it would just be like, oh, we have the same God. And then really it would just be like, well, maybe if they said man was made in God's image, those other people are like those other beings, it would just be the question, are they God, or do we look like God, or do they look like God?
Or do they have their own ones? Just like even the 10 Commandments, right? You'll have no other gods before me, meaning that there was even acknowledgement that there were other gods.
Lowercase gods.
You
The
see that?
fallen.
You see that? You see that? I'm telling you, I try to explain this in the Islamic world too. Like, you can't be saying like there's no other gods before me. It's like you're validating that there is, so there probably is. So is this like a fight for like who's the god or the god, the creator? That's why I don't like names. I just like to whatever created this entire realm, that's the god.
Like the demiurge.
Whatever it is. I don't
Thank
know
you,
what it is.
conspiracy extremist, for the super chat. I don't know if Rumble comes up on the restream. And it's one of the number one reasons I want to move into a different platform is because X comments don't come up for me either. So I don't see them till afterward. And it seems like I'm ignoring X comments. I see people, but I don't see it till afterward unless I have X open somewhere. But I do know there's streaming platforms that have it all. But I haven't gone over and read the comments for a while. So we probably
I think
all should.
StreamYard might show X comments now.
Dude, YouTube last week, I was trying to reply to our Sunday episode. I was trying to reply to somebody, and I replied 4 freaking times, and YouTube wouldn't let me post it. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I will go look at those comments though. And I'll write some
YouTube or
down.
X?
The ones on Rumble. Rumble doesn't show up
Mm.
at all. And that is a damn shame. That is
Yeah.
a damn shame. Or I need another computer that just has a screen on it that has the X and Rumble open so I can see them at the same time. But we appreciate you on Rumble and
Thank
X out
you.
there. We love you long time. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
so horny.
I always wondered if it's like, okay, you can pray to me, I'm your God, and then put me first, but then you can still, if you need to pray to Neptune and stuff, I understand. But just know that I'm your number one.
Just don't create false idols.
Do you think you guys did that with your stuffed animals when you were kids?
Do what?
Like,
Created false idols?
yeah, you created little false idols out of them and treated them in a way like they had maybe a personality and
Yeah,
You
my
get to
Cabbage
heaven
Patch.
and they're like, look, you were a great person, but we see here when you were 4, you had a tea party with a bear, and technically that violates rule like 785B. So now you're going to hell.
I didn't.
you didn't were nervous that your animals were going to come alive, and so you had to treat them, some of them really good, like you wanted to treat them all in this way, or did you just clear your bed, all your stuffed animals could go on the
Yeah.
floor?
They were just like objects to me. They weren't like sentient or like real in that sense. They like my imagination when I turned it on, they were real. But when I turned it off, they were just toys.
Did you ever have a dolly or anything that was real? Did you ever have a stuffed animal that you were, or a blankie or
yeah.
something that you were attached to and you were like, this is a real thing in your kid brain?
No.
Oh, Abbie?
My Cabbage Patch. My stuffed animals and stuff, I didn't really like. I liked them, but they were just toys.
Oh, actually, I'm not gonna lie. There was this doll who had she had like a wand and blonde hair with a bow that you like when you put the wand on its bow, like it would like light up. That was like a doll that I carried a lot. It was like my favorite doll. That I remember. I forgot the name of it though. Yeah.
I already see where this is going. All
We'll see
right. Do
if
you
I
guys have
remember.
anything to plug before we fly out of here today?
I'm gonna find it. It was so cute. Hold on.
Thomas, do you have anything going on this
Yeah,
week?
I'll plug that my Patreon. I've been getting a whole bunch of more signups there, and I'm gonna start dropping spicy content about topics like Derm and other things that we can't really mention. I've also given a few presentations on that topic, and I get a lot of requests to like get into certain niche aspects of it. So I think I might just start putting it all up on Patreon, and also all of the 24-hour stream that I did with Donut and all the different guests that we've had on. We've been editing all those down over the last couple weeks, so I'll be putting all that on the Patreon. And I've also, a lot of people have been scooping up a bunch of cool stuff from paranoidamerican.com. Now I've got like hundreds of it's wild. I've got like hundreds of products now, between stickers and coloring books and toy sets and comics and all that. So, and it's all pretty much limited edition. Like once the toy sets sell out, I make maybe, I think, 50 of some of them. Like they're just gone forever, and I make a new one. So if you guys want any cool limited edition Paranoid American merch, you got to go on paranoidamerican.com and scoop all of it up before it's gone.
Yeah, I imagine that you'll just be getting more finite about what you do. So some of the stuff that's super niche, it's like there for now, and then it'll never be there again. So I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff over there. There's tons of stickers. There's small stuff and big stuff. And there is fun things that you can educate yourself on and be entertained as well. So you should go and check out paranoidamerican.com. Ladies, do you guys have anything going on this week?
I'm packing up my house and
Oh my
moving.
God,
So
conspiracy. Thank you.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah,
You
jeez.
guys are too
I think
awesome.
there's spelling bad words in the chat.
You guys are
Oh.
awesome. We will be around Sunday, so we will see you before the new year and before our chat gets out of hand.
Mhm.
We love you guys and appreciate you so much. And thank you, as always, for hanging out with us. And do make sure you turn your volume down a little, or Juliet Lewis will blow your ears out. Okay.
Love you.
XOXO Gossip Girl. Bye bye.
Can you save us, Britney Spears? Can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunning linguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, Jamaicans, it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys. The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunning linguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, Jamaicans, it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys.
You're still here? It's over.